The combination of Son Goku and Vegeta. This statement made the 17th and the 18th dumbfounded. It's just that these Earth warriors have always been able to do some weird things, and they have become accustomed to it, and finally believe this statement. So, did you come to us for something? Number 17 still did not relax his vigilance. Although Vegeta said that he was not here to be enemies, the two sides were never friends, but enemies. Either way, it is impossible to be completely trusted as soon as we meet. But Vegeta completely believed them. After all, he learned about their current situation through the original work, and from the situation just now, it is indeed the case. So Vegeta didn't hide it, and explained the purpose of this trip in detail. So, I didn't expect that there are other universes besides universe. Has your dimension risen to this level? No 17's mood is a bit complicated. Unexpectedly, after living on the Earth for many years, these Saiyans have already gone outside of the universe. Even if his strength is improved, he still can't match it. Fortunately, the current No 17, replaced by the previously immature one, would definitely play a game with Vegeta first to determine whether what the other party said was true or false. Vegeta said, I didn't know that you were together before, so I decided to call whoever I found first, but now that you two are here, you can go with me together. I'm sorry, I refuse. Number 17 answered without thinking. Vegeta is not surprised, because the original is the same, and number 17 is worried that no one will guard the animals here after he leaves. I'll go. At this time, number 18 spoke. The 17th glanced at her somewhat unexpectedly. The 18th said, I've been so bored by staying here all the time. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't stay in such a ghost place. Unlike number 17, number 18 doesn't particularly like these animals, and has no patience to stay in the same place all the time. It's just that apart from being with 17th, she has nowhere to go, and it's even more boring to be alone. Sorry. Number 17 also understood these things and couldn't help showing an apologetic expression to No.18. Okay. I'm going to relax this time. Number 18 stretched out, not caring about the beautiful figure that was revealed because of this action. The 17th looks at Vegeta. Then, I will take care of the 18th. If something happens to her, I won't give up. They have stayed together for nearly 10 years, and their relationship is much better than the original book. On the 18th, he quit, rolled his eyes, and said, Are you underestimating me? What do you think can happen to me? Cough. Number 17 did not answer, but deliberately pretended to be a fool and looked away. Vegeta smiled. The 17th and 18th like this still feel pretty good. After making an agreement with the 18th to gather at the Temple of Heaven 5 days later, Vegeta left alone. It's just that next, there seems to be nothing to do. Find a place to practice. Vegeta rubbed his chin and groaned. Think about it, forget it, he hasn't stopped since he left Z time and space, so let's relax appropriately now. After thinking about it, he decided to go to Chi-Chi. After being briefly arranged by him, this woman has never been in contact again, and it is time to visit her. Soon, Vegeta returned to the western capital. In the sense of breath, Bulma and Vados seemed to have gone shopping outside, and did not stay at home. Vegeta ignored them and knocked on the door of Chi-Chi's house. Baguette? Chi-Chi saw Vegeta coming. A trace of panic flashed in his eyes, and he lowered his head twistedly, as if he didn't know how to get along with him. Vegeta took a brief look and found that Chi-Chi was the only one in the house. Son Gohan has gone to the spiritual time house to practice while Son Goten has gone to school. Thinking about Chi-Chi always boring at home alone, it is indeed a bit pitiful. After marrying Son Goku, this woman has had a hard life, and she has become Obasan in just a few years. The reason why many people don't like Chi-Chi is because she educated Son Gohan as wild rice, but she also understands her contribution to the family. But in the final analysis, these are caused by Son Goku's low EQ. How cute was Chi-Chi when he was young? How could it be like that? Why did you come here today? Chi-Chi looked nervous, but after all, he took the initiative to speak, no matter what the hostess here. She poured a glass of water for Vegeta, and then sat silently on the sofa next to her, with her legs closed and her hands on her knees, looking completely unable to calm down. Speaking of it, she hasn't figured out how to deal with the relationship with Vegeta until now. It is impossible to say that he is completely a stranger and never talks to each other forever. After all, she is still young, it is impossible to be a widow just like this. Vegeta took a sip of water and didn't observe Chi-Chi much, lest the latter get more nervous. He just looked around and said casually, I'm sorry, I don't have time until now, so I just came over to see you. Are you still used to living here? Son Goku never cared about people. With a simple sentence, Vegeta moved Chi-Chi a little bit. Chi-Chi nodded hurriedly and said, "It's a nice place. The living environment is much more comfortable than Baozishan. I just don't get used to living in big cities. I don't know what to do except watching TV programs." Vegeta originally sympathized with Chi-Chi a little bit, but now hearing her words, a chord in his heart couldn't help being touched. He was silent for a moment, and took Chi-Chi directly and walked out. "Huh. What are you going to do? Don't do this." After all, Chi-Chi was a more traditional woman, who was struggling restrainedly by Vegeta. Just with her power, how could it be possible to break free from Vegeta? Vegeta didn't explain. After pulling her outside, he hugged her up and flew high into the sky. "Ah. What do you want to do? Let go of me." Chi-Chi was not only nervous, but also embarrassed. Even knowing that in a certain situation, it's okay to think of Vegeta as Son Goku, but the time between the two is not much after all. For Chi-Chi, Vegeta is more just a familiar stranger. "Don't worry. I won't do strange things to you." Vegeta patted Chi-Chi on the head a little funny. Although she was already the mother of 2 children, in the eyes of Vegeta, she was still just a weak woman. Chi-Chi's pretty face blushed when he heard Vegeta's teasing. At this moment, she was also curious about what Vegeta was going to do, and flew outside without saying anything, so she slowly reduced her nervousness, opened her eyes and looked down. Wow! So beautiful! Chi-Chi opened his eyes and saw the beautiful earth below. This is not the first time she has been flying at high altitudes. Although Chi-Chi can't fly, Son Goku once took her to a somersault cloud. But how does Son Goku compare to Vegeta? Vegeta only flew in a location with a good view. Since Chi-Chi always stays at home and doesn't go out much, taking her out for relaxation is definitely the best choice. Vegeta hugged her and flew almost all over the earth, flying wherever the scenery is good. In just one day, Chi-Chi's vision widened. Not only did he see a lot of scenery that he would not normally see, but he also felt much better, and even his nature was liberated. Now that she looked at Vegeta's eyes again, there was no tweaking or embarrassment, but a touch of affection, and she was able to talk and laugh. After one day of contact, she found that Vegeta was really a very suitable companion. He is considerate and gentle, and can take care of others. I don't know that it is tens of thousands of times stronger than Son Goku. It's just that she is somewhat reserved in her heart, and her character is not as active as Bulma. When you are fine, you can walk outside, always stay in one place, and your personality will gradually become dull. I will leave you with a card. There is some pocket money in the card. It should be enough for you for a period of time. Vegeta handed Chi-Chi a bank card. When he arrived in this world, money was meaningless to him, so he asked Bulma directly, and he didn't think he was a little boy or something. "Are you going to leave?" Chi-Chi didn't reject Vegeta's kindness, but after accepting the bank card, his face showed a little bit of reluctance. It is hard to imagine that before today, she saw that Vegeta was still very nervous and flustered, completely at a loss, but now she has feelings of reluctance? Vegeta smiled and said, "It's getting late, and Goten should be about to end school too, right? Don't worry. I have a few days of free time, and I will accompany you more these days." To be precise, for Vegeta, Chi-Chi is an individual woman, or Son Goku's wife, and has little to do with Vegeta. But after contact, he still likes this lovely young woman. If Chi-Chi doesn't object, even if she is her own woman and fills her harem, it's alright. "You." Chi-Chi bit his lower lip, hesitated for a moment, and finally summoned the courage to say, "Or, you can stay today." Vegeta froze for a moment, and immediately understood Chi-Chi's intentions. Although it was a bit out of date, he still asked, "Are you sure?" "Yeah." Chi-Chi lowered his head and responded softly, like a mosquito or fly. If it hadn't been for Vegeta's good ears, I wouldn't be able to hear it. Since it was Chi-Chi's voluntary request, Vegeta certainly had no reason to refuse. In any case, the two can be regarded as legal couples in name. Besides, Vegeta is not a vegetarian. It has been more than a year since the journey, and it is indeed time to start the meat. Just before that, he had never thought that the start of this world would fall on Chi-Chi, the mother of 2 children. I have to say that sometimes fate is fun. In the evening, Vegeta helped Son Goten with his homework. This behavior surprised Chi-Chi. Is Vegeta really Saiyan? But because of this, it made her firmer that she was right, and the impression of Son Goku in her mind was gradually fading. That night, Vegeta got his wish and drove for the first time after crossing. Chi-Chi is a very conservative and traditional woman. She doesn't understand the extra moves at all. She can only be the simplest and most basic. Under the guidance of Vegeta, she learned a lot of new knowledge and experienced a completely different life. Overnight, Chi-Chi seemed to be a different person. He was a teenager in an instant, and returned to his teenage years, both physically and psychologically. Especially after Vegeta finds someone to dress her up, she is full of charm and looks more beautiful and lovely than before she married. She, who knows the taste of the marrow, has become very sticky to Vegeta now. No matter what Vegeta asks, she will do it without hesitation. Where is the slightest shrew look like the original? It's just Xiaonyao Yiren. In this regard, Vegeta is pleased to see the results, and is quite obsessed with this feeling. So unconsciously, he and Chi-Chi were tired for 5 days, and it was no different from going on a honeymoon. He didn't show up in the temple with Chi-Chi and Son Goten until the start of the competition. When Vegeta came, everyone else had already arrived, and even Bulma had reached the Temple of Heaven with the help of Vados. I said why I haven't seen anyone. It turned out to be addicted to gentle country. Fortunately, I didn't believe Vados's words before, thinking that you just had something to delay. As soon as Vegeta came, Bulma stared at him with almost cannibalistic eyes, and squeezed such words out of his teeth. Vegeta was suddenly sweaty. He has indeed been a little addicted these days. Maybe it was because he was only focusing on cultivation before, and now he was a little slack when he relaxed, which caused Bulma to overturn the jealous jar. In fact, thinking about it, he didn't say a few words to Bulma after he came back, and almost ran away after throwing Vados at her. If it's just doing business, but in the end, I've been with Chi-Chi for a few days. How can this make Bulma not angry? Klin and others knew about Vegeta's identity, thinking that he, like Son Goku, Vegeta, and other Saiyans, had very rough emotional handling methods, so they faced the current situation. Although they wanted to see the jokes, they were still very witty and didn't provoke Vegeta, so they flashed farther away. Only Vados and number 18 didn't realize it at all, or didn't plan to give Vegeta face at all. They just stayed on the scene and waited to see the jokes. Yes. I'm sorry, Bulma, it's all my fault, I ignored your feelings. Vegeta hadn't spoken yet, but Chi-Chi apologized to Bulma first. If it was her previous character, she would definitely fight Bulma directly, but now, as long as she can be with Vegeta, she is fine. Even because Bulma was angry with Vegeta, she became anxious for Vegeta. Sometimes this is the case with women. Once they are completely conquered, everything will be considered for him with a man as the center. Therefore, the big reason for the kind of women who casually eat jealousy and control men to death is because the men failed to completely conquer her. When Chi-Chi spoke, Bulma felt embarrassed. After all, Vegeta is not exclusive to her, and it makes sense to spend a few days with Chi-Chi. As a result, a scene that stunned Vegeta happened. The two women chirped and talked, and they held hands with each other and became good sisters, and they didn't mean to repeat the topic just now. It seems that the two daughters reached a consensus and accepted him together without any effort by Vegeta. This also disappointed the two women who were waiting to see the joke. Vegeta doesn't like to waste too much time on feelings. For him, as long as he has absolute power, which woman he wants and which woman he wants is a very simple matter. If he has a virgin plot, he can wait for the rules of time and space to be practiced to the realm of what he wants, and directly integrate all time and space and change their lives. The rules of time and space can transcend boundaries. For example, he crossed to Bulma before he met Son Goku for the first time and planted his mark in Bulma's heart. When the time comes to integrate time and space, Bulma in all time and space will have him in his heart, still in the ignorant girlhood. In this way, the sea was difficult to be watered, but Wushan was not a cloud. As long as Vegeta can make a sufficient impression on Bulma, she will defend herself for Vegeta. Except for Vegeta, no other man would be taken care of by her. So for Vegeta, the most important thing is his own strength. To enjoy life and enjoy the fun, you can wait for him to explore the Dragon Ball world. Therefore, Vegeta didn't care how Bulma and Chi-Chi communicated, as long as the two of them didn't quarrel, he could accept it. When Vegeta took the two women's hand from left to right and walked towards the others, all the friends were shocked. Only a few minutes before and after this. How quickly you can subdue the two supergirls who can subdue the strongest Saiyan. Well, apart from envy, jealousy and hatred, Klin and others really have nothing to say. Patter. There was a sound of footsteps from the temple, attracting everyone's attention. Soon, Son Gohan and Piccolo, who were embarrassed in their image but calm, appeared in front of everyone. Obviously, they just came out of the mental timehouse, and the sharp aura just after the end of their cultivation has not fully condensed, and the whole person looks like a sword out of its sheath. Huh. Vegeta frowned. That's terrible. From the sense of breath, Son Gohan's normal combat effectiveness is at least 5 or 6 times higher than that of Nobifan, far beyond the Buu period, and can even be compared with GT time and space. Originally, Vegeta had some regrets, because he planned to help Son Gohan to transform into Super Saiyan IV after he recovers. It's just that I stayed with Chi-Chi these few days, and I forgot about it for a while, and I can only wait for the competition. Unexpectedly, Son Gohan was struggling, so he took a step forward on the original basis so quickly. Don't you stay in the spiritual time house for 5 days? Vegeta looked a little weird. If this is the case, then he really has to praise Son Gohan and Piccolo for their perseverance. No. Piccolo shook his head. In fact, we went in for the first time for a day. After we came out and adjusted our state, Gohan asked to go in again. This time it was still a day. Are you asking for it? Vegeta looked at Son Gohan and nodded in satisfaction. Very well. Now this is in a good state, keep it. Yes. Son Gohan has reduced his breath, looks like a very ordinary person, and has reached the realm of returning to nature. The 7th universe really hides the dragon and the tiger. It seems that our 6th universe wants to win its impossible. Vidos's eyes shone brightly beside him. Such strength is of course nothing in her eyes, but it can already be ranked in the forefront of the universe among humans. Especially Son Gohan's current aura, the originally lazy and exhausted temperament has been completely flattened. Not surprisingly, now is when Son Gohan really takes off. It is not impossible to catch up or even surpass Son Goku. Well, now that everyone is here, let's go to the Gods of Destruction world first. Vegeta scanned the surroundings. The Son Gohan, Piccolo, and the 18th who participated in the battle, the rest were all as the audience as the family members and friends group. Master Roshi, Klin, Tien Shinhan, Dumplings, Bulma, Chi-Chi, Son Goten, Trunks, Ox King, Puer, Oolong, totaling 11 people. I guess it's all human beings. Counting Vegeta and Vados, this line is 16 people. But Vados opened his mouth and said, I have to take a step by myself. I can't stay with my opponent's team before the start of the game. However, the trip to the Earth these days has made me a very happy time. If I have a chance I will come again. Vados waved to Vegeta and Bulma, and after Bulma said he was welcome to come again at any time, he left through the shuttle box. In that case, let's go, too. Vegeta asked everyone to hold hands and took them over with instant transmission. It's just that there is always something wrong. Is there someone missing from the original? At first, Vegeta thought it was Yamcha, but that guy didn't come, and Vegeta didn't care. He couldn't care about it, so it was definitely not him. So who is it? It always feels important. Forget it, I didn't think of it for a moment, and he didn't entangle, and directly led everyone to the Star of Beerus in the Gods of Destruction world. At this time, Beerus and the others were ready, and it seemed that they were waiting for Vegeta to come. I thought you weren't here anymore, are you all here? Beerus looked at Vegeta with an unhappy expression on his face. If Whis hadn't learned through Vados that Vegeta had found all the people, Beerus would definitely not wait here, he would have killed the Earth long ago. Vegeta smiled slightly, and pulled out Son Gohan, Piccolo and No.18. It looks good, but I don't know how strong it is. Beerus just looked at it casually, and said, but since Vegeta picked it out, I will believe you for the time being. But the shame comes first, and finally you if you lose the game, don't blame me for being rude. Lost the game, but had to give up the Earth to the 6th universe. For a foodie like Beerus, the Earth is his kitchen. How can it give up? Number 18 raised his eyebrows and said, who is this guy? The tone is so unpleasant, can I beat him? Don't mess around, you are not his opponent. Vegeta stopped him quickly. Neither 18th nor Beerus have a good temper. If you really want them to make a fuss, it won't end well. So Vegeta explained to number 18 in a low voice, by the way, to make it clear about Beerus's combat effectiveness. Well, it seems impossible for the time being. Number 18 shrugged regretfully. The strongest gods of destruction in the universe, the level is too far apart, even if the 18th is confident, but not reckless. Is it just for the time being? Your tone seems to be even more unpleasant. Beerus barked his teeth, and finally gave Vegeta face, without resorting to the topic. Okay, that's the end of the gossip, we're going to go. Whis took the scepter beside him and got ready. On the other side, Son Goku and Vegeta, who had just regained their strength after practicing, were also called over. Seeing Son Goku and Vegeta, people from the Earth are still quite embarrassed. At this time, the sequelae of Son Gohan's bastard have also emerged. Before that, Son Gohan didn't quite understand why Vegeta would say that he had done something wrong, so he finally understood. Fortunately, the memories of Son Goku and Vegeta Jr. have been erased by Vegeta Jr. Now they are Son Goku Jr. and Vegeta Jr. They know these people on the Earth, but they have no memories related to them, so they seem to be calmer when facing these people, which also avoids the more embarrassing situation of Gohan and others. Okay, everyone is ready. We're going now. Whis chuckled, waved his scepter, moved everyone into the shuttle box, and started walking towards the competition venue. On the 18th, he leaned close to Vegeta, stabs him with an elbow, and chuckled. What do you think of this scene? It should be interesting, right? Would you like to share it with me? It seems that I have been bored with number 17 in Animal Island for a long time, and number 18 is more active than Vegeta expected. As for the people in the field, she is only familiar with Vegeta now. After all, Vegeta asked for a helper. Naturally, she can only talk to Vegeta because of her character. Vegeta shrugged and said indifferently, I don't have any thoughts. If I had to say something, I just think it's funny, right? Interesting. Number 18 looked a little weird. He looked at Son Goku, Bulma and Chi-Chi, and said strangely, don't you men have always been very possessive towards your own women? Although you are a combination of Son Goku and Vegeta, they should not accept it easily. Faced with two people over there who have the same settings, there will be no strange thoughts. Vegeta also looked at number 18 with a strange look, and said, I don't know, you are so gossiping. You should be more aware of this kind of problem as a woman, or you can tell me about it and change you. What would you think? What the 18th said is indeed the psychology and scruples that normal men should have. But Vegeta is a traverser. Before that, he had nothing to do with Bulma and Chi-Chi. Now he has picked up 2 wives for nothing. Is there anything else to blame? Vegeta's vision has long been placed outside the universe and time and space. How could it be the thinking of ordinary people? Number 18 couldn't help but lost her eyes. You all said that I am a woman. Of course women love gossip. As for you ask me what I think, I have never had a man. How do I know? Are you blatantly teasing me? Vegeta looked up and down number 18, with Kai Guoguo's aggression in his eyes. Forget the others. The 18th is almost recognized as the sexiest goddess in the Dragon Ball world. How could Vegeta not be interested in her? Especially after knowing that the 18th did not marry Klin, of course the idea of AA accepting her arose. But still the same sentence, Vegeta is now mainly practicing to the peak, and when the strength is enough, it is easy to want any woman. So he will not take the initiative to pursue it, but if someone takes the initiative to send it to the door, of course there is no reason not to accept it. Get out. As a result, number 18 couldn't bear the look of Vegeta, and blushed and walked away. The others got together in 2s and 3s, looking at the surrounding stars curiously, discussing the next game. Bulma and Chi-Chi were sitting together, they were talking in a low voice, not knowing what they were talking about, but it must have something to do with Vegeta. Because they would look at Vegeta from time to time, with a little shyness on their faces, it made Vegeta want to think of some more harmonious face paintings. Baguette, are you really not going to play? If you are willing to shoot with your strength, we can guarantee an absolute victory. Beerus was a little unwilling, and seemed to want to persuade Vegeta. Vegeta spread his hand and said, if I take a shot, there will be no suspense. What is so good about such a game? That is to say, I still want to behave well. Vegeta's shot will be nothing for us. Son Goku immediately objected. Vegeta even won Gods of Destruction, but Gods of Destruction is the strongest in the universe. There is no suspense in such a game, and Vegeta can beat the game alone. Hey, aren't you Saiyan all warlike? How come you are different? I really doubt whether your genes have changed after you fit together. Beerus couldn't help but complain. Vegeta chuckled, who knows? Anyway, that's the way it is. To get Vegeta to take action, at least there must be a reason for it, right? Losing the game just transferred the Earth to the 6th universe, it has no effect on him at all. Oh, yes, it can't be said that there is no impact. If the Earth really reaches the 6th universe, it will be more difficult for him to travel through time and space in the future, but this is a trivial matter, just change the mark. It didn't take long for a group of 20 people to arrive on the unnamed planet in neutral space. Since Vados took a step first, when Vegeta and the others arrived, the competition venue had been set up. Basically all the people in the 6th universe have arrived. In the 7th universe, Supreme Kai and Galaxy King and others came first, but Vegeta and his party became the last batch. Hey, Beerus, aren't you afraid of our 7th universe? You came so late, I thought you had escaped. Seeing Beerus, Champa grinned smugly. It's just that when he saw Vegeta behind, Champa's complexion froze, thinking of the things that embarrassed him last time, the original smile suddenly disappeared. Beerus, of course, discovered this, and said with a strange smile, "Are you kidding? Champa. I'm afraid of you? Who the hell is running away in embarrassment? Is that running away?" Champa wanted to refute, but couldn't find any excuses, and finally could not help but snorted and changed the subject directly. "Forget it. I'm too lazy to argue with you. I just want to ask, that guy's power has obviously exceeded the limit. If he is not restricted from participating in the competition, this competition is meaningless, right?" Champa pointed at Vegeta and yelled, apparently thinking of something bad, so his voice was so loud that it immediately attracted the attention of everyone present. Power exceeds the limit? Restrict participation? Many people's faces have changed. Almost all the contestants in the 6th universe watched it. Even Hit, who was used as a trump card, had his eyes condensed slightly. Champa said so solemnly, "It is obvious that Vegeta is indeed very strong, even far surpassing the 5 contestants on their side." Beerus laughed and said, "Didn't you just finish saying that I'm afraid to escape? Why do you turn your head to restrict people on my side to take action? Otherwise, how about you just ask me to find a small animal that is not capable of fighting?" Champa was speechless by Beerus. Although this is the case, if Vegeta really participates in the game, no one else has to play. Even Champa can beat him, and who can he expect to be Vegeta's opponent, should Vados take the shot? If Vados is willing to make a move, he doesn't have to wait until now. What's more, if Vados is really going to take a shot, Champa's face will be lost to the universe. So the only way is to restrict Vegeta and prevent him from participating in the game. Beerus, you don't need to be yin and yang. I admit that no one in the 6th universe is that Vegeta's opponent. Who knows what kind of shit luck your universe has, you have such a strong one. But Vegeta is only a special case, and it doesn't mean that the level of the 7th universe is at this level. If you have to let him participate in the competition, then I can only ask for an aid. Champa speaks righteously, and he has shown shame to the extreme. Although, even if he hired foreign aid, it would be difficult for him to hire someone who can compete with Vegeta, and even 12 universe does not necessarily have such a person. At least Jiren, the strongest known to Vegeta, should not be his opponent either. But Champa has already said this, and Vegeta had no intention of making a move. Beerus took the opportunity to say, "Although your reason cannot convince me, but in order to convince you, forget it, I will not be called Vegeta. It's shot." Champa was overjoyed, but in his heart he scolded Beerus as an idiot. He didn't know how to use such a good resource. He didn't care about so much if he had such a good resource. The most important thing was to guarantee victory. He didn't know that when he laughed at others, they were also laughing at him. Even Vados, who was standing behind him, was secretly laughing. In this way, the name of Vegeta was passed to the 6th universe, and all 5 contestants were silently paying attention to Vegeta. Vegeta ignored them, and walked towards the auditorium with Bulma and Chi-Chi. He has already seen that the 5 contestants in the 6th universe are not exactly the same as the original. It may be that Champa was stimulated on the Beerus star, and without the help of Vados, the details are different, so naturally the people looking for it are not exactly the same. Of course, Hit is still the strongest player in the whole. Saiyan Gabe of the 6th universe is also there, and there is a Frost corresponding to Frieza. There are 2 remaining, one is female Saiyan Caulifla, and the other one has never been seen, looks like a Namek person, but the skin is dark green. That guy is incredible. Vegeta glanced at the dark green-skinned Namek man. Although not as good as Hit, if the 7th universe is taken lightly, even Son Gohan may not be able to beat him. However, Vegeta did not remind Son Gohan of them. Even if Vegeta is not participating, the 7th universe is already dominant, so let them play by themselves, leaving a little suspense. It looks interesting. Bulma. At this moment, someone in the audience was waving. "Ah. Why is my sister here?" Bulma looked in the direction of the voice, and was taken aback. Taisi. Bulma's biological sister, because she likes to write science fiction novels, and then accidentally met the Galaxy Patrolman Jake. She went to the universe with Jake's help, and has been wandering outside. I said that I was working outside to get materials and experience life, but I have never been on the Earth. Her appearance is just the opposite of Bulma, not that she is ugly. But Bulma inherited his father's blue hair and mother's blue eyes. Taisi inherited her father's black eyes and mother's blonde hair. Looking at the faces alone, the 2 sisters are actually quite similar. Now that Taisi was here, Vegeta and the others naturally didn't find another place to sit, and they sat in the empty seat next to Taisi. Why is Taze here? Of course it was with the help of the best galactic patrolman Jake. A guy who looked like Superman beside him deliberately jumped up and put on a pause as he spoke. Unfortunately, no one paid any attention to him at all. Taisi looked directly at Vegeta, leaned over with curiosity and excitement, and said fragrantly, "Hey, are you my new brother-in-law Vegeta? It's really outstanding, handsome and powerful. Strong and legendary. How about you coming to be the protagonist of my next book? Leave me a little away." Bulma pushed Taze away, and said in an uncomfortable tone, "Really, I finally met, sister, can't you be more serious? I'm talking about serious things." Taisi is indeed a serious look. She reluctantly resisted Bulma's resistance and leaned towards Vegeta. "Iya am serious. Ia heard Bulma say everything about you, and Ia am really interested in it, so I want to write it as a story. It will definitely sell out." Vegeta didn't expect that his sister-in-law would be so enthusiastic. Bulma had been pushing her, but she had to go to her side. "That's all, you can speak well. Why do you have to stick so close? Almost face to face, okay." Speaking still with a tone, he drilled straight into Vegeta's nose. Although the smell is pretty good. "Okay, Bulma, sit down, everyone." Baguette helpless, one by one put them on their seats and said, "Anyway, there is time. Just say it slowly. There is nothing to worry about, and I don't know how to run." Bulma glanced sideways at his sister and sat down honestly. Perhaps it was just accepting Vegeta. The two of them had not made any substantial progress, and Vegeta first confirmed the relationship with Chi-Chi, which made Bulma feel more crisis in his heart. Therefore, Taizi's involuntary behavior of moving upwards made Bulma subconsciously want to protect Vegeta. After sitting down, she realized that her reaction was a bit agitated, and she couldn't help making a big blush. But no one paid attention to her at this time. Seeing that Vegeta didn't seem to be disgusted by Taiz, she opened her eyebrows and quickly said, "So you agree? Don't worry, I will write you wisely, absolutely there won't be the slightest ugly." Well, before Vegeta said anything, Taiz directly confirmed it. After speaking, he turned his head and talked to Bulma without giving him a chance to refuse. Vegeta shook his head helplessly. In fact, there is absolutely no need for Taiz to be like this. He is not Son Goku's temperament who is afraid of trouble and knows nothing. He just writes his story as a novel and publishes it, which has no effect on Vegeta. It doesn't matter. "Everyone here, please wait a moment. The 6th universe and the 7th universe gods of destruction will be selected for the fighting tournament. Now it will begin." The universe referee who didn't know where to invite appeared on the ring with a microphone and shouted, "Then sing the universe song in unison." What the hell? The people from the earth were beeping. Then there was a universe like a penguin who dangled and jumped onto the stage. Everyone immediately stood at attention, and there was silence around him. The Earthlings who have not yet integrated with the universe still have a stunned look, and have not understood the situation at all. The penguin coughed, holding the microphone with a serious face and sang, "Universe, wide, broad. Salute." Turned and stepped down. "Thanks." The referee waved his hand. Bang bang bang. There was applause in the audience. Everyone from Earth. The corners of Vegeta's mouth twitched. Which silly setting is this? It's an insult to people's IQ. Next, the game begins. As the referee yelled, everyone from the Earth stopped worrying about what was just now, and looked at them with anticipation. One player on each side of the ring, Gabe from the 6th universe, and Piccolo from the 7th universe. Unlike the original book, which determines the order of play by guessing the box, here is directly ranked according to strength, from weak to strong. Unfortunately, even though Piccolo has improved a lot in the mental timehouse, it turned out to be the bottom. Is it Saiyan of the 6th universe? A drop of cold sweat slipped off Piccolo's forehead. Before, Son Goku had gone to greet the contestants of the 6th universe, knowing that there were 2 Saiyans and 1 Namek. He felt a strong breath in Gabe, although it was still far from being compared with Son Gohan, Son Goku, and Vegeta. But according to his inference, as long as Gabe transforms into Super Saiyan E, he will be able to hang him. Piccolo wanted to scold his mother very much at this time. "I thought that the strength has improved so much, no matter how bad it is, 1 or 2 people from the other side can be knocked out. But who would have thought that if the other party jumped on someone casually, he couldn't handle it?" Piccolo looks a bit nervous. He won't even be able to beat the opponent's first person, right? That person doesn't look very strong, either. Bulma handed one to Vegeta in the audience. Suspicious eyes. Perhaps Vegeta's personality is more attractive. There are a few women sitting around who seem to be very interested in this battle, including Chi-Chi. If you change to the original, or replace Vegeta with Son Goku, these people are afraid that at most they will shout a few words like, "Come on," or 666, and then start to wait for the result. After all, neither Bulma nor Chi-Chi is a person who likes to fight. Tai-Si just took a look to write a novel, but after all, this way of fighting is not what she likes. Regarding the situation in the field, Vegeta, of course, saw it through, smiled and said, "Don't look at the small appearance of Gabe in the 7th universe, in fact, he is also Saiyan." Huh? The women were taken aback for a while. Taze said excitedly, "So, he will turn into a blonde Super Saiyan just like you guys?" In fact, she has never seen Super Saiyan, just heard about it from Bulma. Vegeta smiled and said, "It's a pity, not yet. Saiyan in the 7th universe doesn't seem to have mastered the transformation method, but Piccolo doesn't know about it. He is worried that once the opponent transforms, his strength will be strong enough for him to deal with. No, that's why Piccolo is nervous." Haha. The women couldn't help laughing. It is true that Piccolo looks too serious now. If he knows that it is just his own oolong incident, his expression will be very exciting then. Bulma turned on a camera and smirked. This kind of wonderful picture must be taken. Ah. Why didn't I expect it? Oh my god, what a good opportunity to collect materials. Tai-Si yelled at a glance, and then begged, "Good sister, remember to copy it to me when I look back." Yes, yes. Bulma couldn't do anything with her inconspicuous sister. "I'll take it, you must not be able to keep up with their movements." Vegeta smiled and picked up the camera. Hee, Vegeta is the best. Bulma kissed him directly on the cheek. Taze spit out her pink tongue, and scratched her finger lightly on her face. Ashamed, everyone in the public doesn't know how to pay attention. "You can control it." Bulma snorted. Vegeta shrugged and said, "Don't expect too much. If it is really intense, this kind of camera will not be able to capture the picture completely. Some things are invisible to the naked eye, and sometimes the movements are too fast. Even if you slow down 10,000 times, you can't see clearly. Try your best, as long as you can see it roughly." Bulma waved his hand indifferently. After knowing these fighting freaks for so many years, Bulma still knows this kind of common sense. In the past, she had never cared about this kind of thing, and at best joined in the fun. But I don't know why, now that the people around her are changed to Vegeta, she always has an idea to learn more, so this time she even brought the camera. At this time, the two people in the ring had already opened, and the situation was almost lopsided. Completely different from what Piccolo expected, Gabe did not become Super Saiyan. Piccolo didn't even use 10% of his power, so he easily pushed Gabe to the edge of the ring. So strong. Gabe was awkwardly parrying, but he seemed to have reached the limit. Piccolo frowned, "If you don't change your body, I will end the battle." He was worried that Gabe would suddenly transform, so he kept his hand. Otherwise, he would be able to drop it in seconds by just moving his fingers. "Transform? I won't transform." Gabe stunned. Piccolo also froze for a moment, then the corners of his mouth picked up slightly. Boom. A straight uppercut hit directly from the front, and Gabe couldn't stop it at all, and flew off the ring very simply. It turns out that Saiyan in the 6th universe won't be transformed. Fortunately, I have been guarding it all the time. While Piccolo was grateful, he was also a little embarrassed. He actually fought with a small character for a long time? What? The people in the 6th universe lost their voices collectively. The people in the 7th universe are too strong, right? They knocked their contestants into the air with a casual punch. In fact, Gabe's strength is not weak. In Vegeta's invisible detector, the data displayed is 1 billion. If you follow the standards of ordinary people, this is indeed very powerful. It's a pity that, compared with the disaster-ridden Earth, 1 billion combat power is just a small boss in the early and mid-term, which is almost the same as when the cyborg first appeared. In other words, Gabe's combat effectiveness is roughly equivalent to the level of the 18th 10 years ago. Of course, this is on the premise that he will not transform. Once Gabe learns to transform, he will take off directly. On the 6th universe side, Frost was supposed to be the second player to play. But after seeing Piccolo's strength, they temporarily changed their candidates, and the Namek people of the 6th universe took the initiative to ask for a replacement. Then, the player in the second round is Gasgako from the 6th universe. The referee gave a brief introduction to the Namek players in the 6th universe. Vegeta, sitting in the auditorium, raised his brow. Gasgako. This name seems familiar. Remember. Vegeta's heart moved, and the corners of his mouth rose slightly. It turned out to be him. Piccolo was afraid that he was in trouble. What? The attention of Bulma, Chi-Chi and others was more on Vegeta, so his expression changed slightly, and they were soon discovered by them. The corner of Vegeta's mouth raised, and he said with a small smile, If you have a good show, you will know it when you wait. Gaskako. This person's background is pretty awesome, but why did he appear in the 6th universe? Gaskako appeared because of Frieza, but the 6th universe only had Frost, and he was still a hypocrite, and it would not create a chance for Gaskako's appearance. Perhaps, this is the relationship between the opposite universe, right? Vegeta could only think so. In the ring, Piccolo and Gaskako were facing each other at this time. The expression on Piccolo's face was a bit solemn, because Gaskako's breath was not weaker than him, or even worse. Moreover, the opponent's height is directly over 3 meters, giving Piccolo a great sense of oppression. You are not my opponent. For the sake of Namek, you surrender yourself. Gaskako hugged his arms with a calm face. Piccolo couldn't stand the feeling of being underestimated, and grinned. Although I am very happy to see a Namek person as strong as you, it shows that the potential of the Namek person is not worse than that of Saiyan. But I want to make it. I give up, but it's not that easy. Piccolo is really happy. His own strength does not mean that Namek is strong, because he reached this point through several fits. So strictly speaking, Piccolo is no longer an ordinary Namek person. However, those Saiyans, with a little training, can transform into Super Saiyan. Regardless of the basic combat power, as long as you can transform, you will far surpass ordinary Namek people. Is that so? If so, let's fight. Gaskako didn't talk nonsense, and a powerful breath broke out directly. Piccolo was naturally unwilling to be outdone, and also exploded. The two fought together very quickly. The fighting was quite fierce, and the level of fisting was not weak. Although this kind of strength is definitely far inferior to the most high-end people here, it is indeed at a certain level. Huh. I didn't expect that in addition to Vegeta, the 7th universe still has some fighters. 6th universe gods of destruction Champa saw that Gaskako on his side was gradually gaining the upper hand. He was relieved, and began to mock Beerus. Beerus knew that Piccolo was only the weakest among his 5 players, not to mention that he had already won a game just now, and it wouldn't be a big deal to lose now, so he wasn't in a hurry at all. When I heard Champa's words, I couldn't help but snorted coldly. There are many things you didn't expect. Do you think Piccolo is the strongest besides Vegeta? It's still early, so you better not be so proud and be careful. Slap yourself in the face for a while. Hey. Champa said with an unhappy expression. Then wait and see, we will definitely win the 6th universe in the end. He brought Hit, the secret weapon, and paid a considerable price, so he was determined to win this game. Beerus didn't bother to pay attention to him. It seemed that his personality was a little more calm than the original, and he didn't know if he was a little less tempered after being hit by Vegeta. Beerus didn't return his mouth. Of course, Champa was boring by himself. He could only yell at the ring, "What are you doing? Get rid of him quickly, Gaskako." Boom. Gaskako kicked Piccolo into the air, and took advantage of the situation to pull a distance, and the battle between the two was interrupted. I have to say that you are really strong. Gaskako has a poker face from start to finish, and there seems to be no change in his expression. He said coldly, "However, I have to win today's game, so I'm sorry." Sure enough, you haven't used all your strength. Piccolo's face became more dignified, but he was not discouraged because of this. He also confidently said, "But I also didn't use all my strength. It's a little earlier to say sorry." Boom. Piccolo burst into a more powerful breath instantly. Diddy. Combat strength, 50 billion. Vegeta raised his brows. It was amazing. The mere Namek people could cultivate to this level. Although it is still not as good as GT time and space, it is still more than 10 years away from GT. According to the current trend, Piccolo has already surpassed GT time and space. Diddy. Combat strength, 120 billion. Suddenly, a larger breath erupted from Gaskako opposite Piccolo, instantly crushing Piccolo's breath into slag. I'm sorry. I said I must win, so I won't keep my hand anymore. Gaskako still didn't change his expression. After his breath broke out, he rushed forward and went directly to Piccolo. What? Piccolo was horrified in an instant. He has been promoted to this point, so much worse. Although they didn't use their full strength before this, but in his perception, Gaskako was not much better than him. At least Piccolo didn't think he would lose. But now, why is Gaskako suddenly so much stronger? It's a pity that reality doesn't allow him to think too much. In the face of an attack that surpasses him by more than twice his strength, Piccolo can't even organize a decent defense. And Gaskako did, as he said, didn't keep his hands, and beat Piccolo with one punch to stand up, and then gently threw it off the court. How is it possible? Piccolo still had an expression of disbelief after he landed. Gascacco took a look at him and said lightly, "You are indeed very strong. Although you have combined with other people, you are simply complementary. The talent can reach this point is already very powerful. However, you can't be me. Opponent, because I am a super soldier who combines all the Namek people in the 6th universe." What? Piccolo's eyes widened instantly. Combine all Namek people. So, the Namek people of the 6th universe have all merged, and finally Gascacco was born? No wonder Gascacco is so strong. What the hell is going on? You know we didn't understand it. Explain it anyway, don't always sneer there alone. Taze entangled Vegeta to explain. She came here to find the material for writing a novel, but she didn't understand it at all. What's this? Although there is also a genius of the Galaxy Patrol Elite, Jake occasionally explained to her, but it is a pity that Jake's level is too low. Apart from his better eyes, he really doesn't have much dry goods. I want to know too. Bulma was also curious. She understands Piccolo, not the kind of person who can't afford to lose, but looking at Piccolo's expression now, it is obvious that she is a little uncomfortable losing. Vegeta smiled slightly and said, "It's actually very simple. In terms of normal combat effectiveness, Gascacco is not much better than Piccolo. Piccolo feels that if he works a little bit, he doesn't have no chance of winning." Huh? But Piccolo clearly lost. Even Chi-Chi could see it. That's why he is so unwilling. Bulma thoughtfully. In fact, as long as it is a person from the Earth, how can you not know the strength of Piccolo? It has long gone far beyond the boundaries of Namek. What if Gascacco is a combination of all Namek people? Does he have the legendary experience of Piccolo? Is there Piccolo's mindset that constantly wants to surpass? No. So even if he is a super warrior, he is great because he is more talented. Can he really beat Piccolo? Vegeta explained. Gascacco is indeed strong in talent. The power just now is not his own combat power, but a transformation state similar to Super Saiyan. Super Namek? Bulma and Chi-Chi couldn't help exclaiming. Although people often joked that Piccolo is a Super Namek person, but in the final analysis it is only a joking, but now it really jumps out of a similar setting. How should I put it? Explaining to these people who don't know how to practice, it's a bit embarrassing for Vegeta. After thinking about it for a while, he didn't know how to explain it. He could only say, "Forget it, just put it this way for the time being." What? It's so perfunctory. Bulma quit, pouting that he was unhappy. Vegeta reluctantly shook his head and said, "This is not perfunctory, but you don't know how to practice. Saying too much will only make your heads knotted. Let's put it this way, Gascacco hasn't noticed that state of transformation. If he can complete control, the power will be stronger, and then you will be able to be called a real Super Namek person." In fact, Gascacco's situation is similar to that of his childhood son Gohan. In his childhood son Gohan had innately opened up the two lines of Ren and Du, but unfortunately he was too young to use that power at all, and only part of it would explode when he was emotional. Gascacco, on the other hand, had innately opened one of the 8 yolks. He could sense the existence of that force, and it just broke out directly to crush Piccolo easily. It's a pity that Gascacco only noticed that power, and didn't notice the 8 shackles behind the power. Otherwise, with his talent, I'm afraid that he would have already developed it almost a long time ago. Since you know this, you should be able to help Piccolo into that state. If that's the case, Piccolo won't lose. Gacker, the Superman sitting behind, raised objections. Of course, his position is in the first place. 7 universe here. That's right. Vegeta nodded and said, "I do have the idea to help him develop his potential, but I didn't have the opportunity before, so I plan to wait until the competition is over." What? It's so nonchalant. Gak said in a lessening tone. If the 7th universe loses because of your negligent mentality, it's all your responsibility. Jake, please pay attention to your attitude. Bulma glared at him and said, "It is his freedom to do what Vegeta does, and these contestants were all obtained by Vegeta. You are so embarrassed to say such things. If there is no Vegeta, do you rely on you to go up and fight with others?" Jacques was suddenly speechless. In fact, he was just expressing his own thoughts. He had absolutely no other thoughts. As a result, when Bulma said so, he became a villain instead. Let him go up and fight. Although he is a member of the Galaxy Elite Patrol Team and his strength is not weak, who is on the opposite side? Those are the top powerhouses carefully selected by the whole universe. No matter how self-confident Gak was, he was not blindly arrogant enough to be compared with the top powerhouses in the universe. Watching Gyaki suffocate, Taisi, who was a friend, was snickering next to him. In her impression, Jake has always been the only one who made others speechless. But I don't know why, it seems that every time he encounters Bulma, Gak is always eaten to death. Okay. Let's watch the game with peace of mind, the 18th is on the court. Vegeta interrupted them. In the original book, Vegeta warned Gak several times because of the abnormal relationship between the two of them. Although Vegeta's possessiveness is not as strong as Vegeta, he doesn't like the women around him arguing with other men, even if there is nothing between them. Everyone's attention was shifted to the ring by Vegeta's words, and naturally stopped the topic just now. Bulma didn't know if he was aware of Vegeta's little discomfort, put his arm around him, and asked casually, although number 18 is a human being, his strength should not be better than Piccolo? Skako is so good, can he beat the 18th? There was a faint fragrance on Bulma, and Vegeta liked the smell, so he couldn't help but take a sip, which caused Bulma to let out a sorrow and sprinkle a wave of dog food around. Pay attention to the influence, Taisi hummed uncomfortably. Bulma didn't care, and turned his lips back. I want you to take care of it. It's all a child, she's still such a young girl. Does Trunks, who looked far away, look embarrassed? Vegeta blushed a little old face, it was not long before he broke his meat, and now his heart is a little fluttering. Okay. After a little bit of restraint, Vegeta coughed dryly and said, it stands to reason that Piccolo's strength has indeed improved a lot, but since they have placed the 18th behind Piccolo, they have also practiced in the 18th. The strength should be better than that. Piccolo is stronger. But the cyborg has no breath. Before she fights, I can't judge who is strong or weak between her and Gaskako. What Vegeta said was the truth, and the probe could not detect the strength of the 18th. In fact, the role of invisible detectors is now getting smaller and smaller. When the strength reaches a certain level, everyone knows how to control their own strength, and it is impossible to burst out all the breath at any time like a rookie. Unless the opponent releases his breath in battle, Vegeta will not be able to know the opponent's specific combat power data. More often, you can only rely on the intuition of the strong to roughly judge where the opponent is. HMPH, whatever you fit the super fighter, watch me defeat you all in one breath. As soon as he stepped onto the ring on the 18th, he made a domineering declaration with his arms. Gaskako also hugged his arms and glanced at number 18 slightly. He didn't sense any strong aura from her, so he didn't care. Just said, I don't like to waste time, if you don't take action, then I will end the battle directly. It's really rampant. The corner of No 18 Feet's mouth rose slightly, with a low cry, and suddenly rushed towards Gaskako. Boom. The two fists collided, and Gaskako flew out with an incredible expression on his face. But after all, he is a super fighter with all the Namek people. Naturally, it is impossible to be defeated by a punch. At the critical moment, Gaskako once again exploded into a state of potential. Boom. The intensity of combat power exploded directly from 60 billion to 120 billion. The 8 chains of Namek people will double their strength every time they are opened. If the 8th chains can be opened, it will be 256 times the normal level. Counting their normal combat effectiveness that is far stronger than Saiyan, they are completely able to slap Super Saiyan 3 times. Of course, the 8 chains are more difficult to open as they go to the back, and every time they explode, they will be empty, and the 8th chains will die when they explode. At this level, it's not my opponent yet. Number 18 chuckled and rushed up again. She had already seen Gaskako's potential state just now, and she could roughly judge the level of the opponent. Compared to the 18th at this stage, it is indeed much worse. Therefore, when the two collided again, the situation remained unchanged, and Gaskako was beaten violently again. What? Gaskako's pupils shrank slightly, his face showed even more disbelief. A woman with no strong aura and weak appearance, could she have such a strong power? The people in the 6th universe who originally thought that Gaskako could sweep the 7th universe were also collectively misfired at this time, all secretly squeezing a cold sweat for Gaskako. The 7th universe is too strong, right? Wow, the 18th is amazing. Many people in the auditorium on the 7th universe could not help but exclaim. They all know that cyborgs are powerful, but after all, nearly 10 years have passed. Some people even think that cyborgs are in the past. They did not expect that the current number 18 is also not a general generation. Awesome. Bulma and the others couldn't help exclaiming. Bulma asked. No 18 should be able to win, right? The Namek people in the 6th universe have already used that power, and they are still not No 18 Feet's opponent. Vegeta took a closer look and nodded. If he has no other means, he is indeed not No 18 Feet's opponent. The combat strength of the 18th should be hundreds of billions. Unless Gasgako can open the third shackle, it will be difficult to compete with the 18th. The potential of the cyborgs is indeed not bad. I thought that after they were transformed, their strength would be fixed. Vegeta rubbed his chin. When Son Goku went to ask for help on the 17th, he did it first because of a misunderstanding. As a result, the Super Second Son Goku was forced into a rush, and the Super Third State broke out in an instant. Although the fight is not over, the strength of number 17 can be roughly judged. Anyone who knows Son Goku knows his character. He never uses his full strength to fight with others, but only uses the same power as his opponent. Therefore, Dragon Ball Super's number 17 combat power should be similar to Super Third Son Goku, and it will not be too weak. As for number 18, the original work got married early, so the improvement in strength is certainly not obvious. But here, she has been staying with number 17, and they are twins again. The 17th has improved so much, there is no reason why the 18th will be too much worse. It's a pity that the cyborg has no breath, and even Vegeta's invisible detector can't detect the opponent's combat power value. Boom. At this moment, the breath of Gasgako, who was being slapped, exploded again. The second shackle, open it. The strength of 120 billion combat power rose instantly to 240 billion. Can you improve? It's a pity that it's still not my opponent. Number 18 showed a charming smile, and his delicate fist was lightly waved, but the burst of strength was extremely terrifying. Sure enough, as Vegeta guessed, unless Gasgako can open the third yoke, he is not the opponent of number 18 at all. On the 18th, it seemed that he was tired of playing, 3 times 5 divided 2, and he opened the second shackle and hit Gasgako, who had a combat strength of 240 billion yuan, out of the field. Outside the field, the 6th universe's Gasgako player is eliminated, and the winner is the 7th universe number 18 player. The referee announced on the stage with a microphone. In the audience, the 6th universe was downcast, Champa cursed, and the 7th universe cheered. It's amazing. I can't hold it anymore. I really want to play right away. Son Goku in the contest area has been doing warm-up exercises, and he can't sit still. It's a pity that I will play in front of you. Vegeta snorted and said, but it is really uncomfortable to judge me as inferior to you. Well, don't care about these, or let's change it. If you are willing to let me play first, even if my strength is not as good as you, I won't mind. Son Goku had a small calculation. Don't even think about it. Vegeta is not that stupid, and bared his teeth. You'd better be mentally prepared. After I play, no matter how many people are left on the other side, I will finish it in one breath. Your chance to play. Ah, so cunning. Son Goku yelled immediately, and then made a begging gesture. Vegeta Jr., leave me at least one, just one is fine. Hey, let's talk about it then. Vegeta can't stand this kind of soft knife sharpening. Son Gohan next to him interjected. By the way, I should be on the court after the 18th? Maybe Mr. Vegetager has no chance to perform either. The triumphant Vegeta's face suddenly stiffened, and a sentence of MMP was stuck in his throat and couldn't spit out. Why did you forget that there is Saiyan? It seems to have something to do with Vegeta, right? Although it is ranked ahead of them, it means that the strength is not as good as them, but it is certainly not much worse. The most important thing is that since it is someone who has a relationship with Vegeta, maybe there is some hidden trick that can really sweep the rest of the people. Son Goku ran over to ask Son Gohan again, and somehow left him an opponent, or he would fight him after the game. Vegeta twitched at the corner of his mouth, and couldn't pull his face to ask others. He could only secretly pray that the players behind the 6th universe would not be so useless. The third person in the 6th universe was Frost, with a hypocritical expression. He wanted to shake hands with number 18 when he first came on stage, but it was a pity that number 18 was a bird. Your expression is really unpleasant, so I decided to beat you down with a single move. On the 18th, he didn't see Frost's details, but his instinct as a woman always felt that the guy on the other side had a sulky atmosphere. A drop of cold sweat hung on Frost's forehead, and he sneered. You really make me feel a little stressed by what you say, so I have to use my full strength directly. Frost had seen the power of number 18, and even Gasgako was not an opponent. Of course he did not dare to despise it, so he went straight into the final form. Boom. Frost became similar to Frieza's fourth form, but with a slightly different color and stripes. This form is indeed the same as Frieza. The faces of the people who know Frieza in the 7th universe are much more serious. They perceive a breath far stronger than Frieza from Frost. Diddy. Combat strength, 60 billion. It's really weak enough. Vegeta raised his brow slightly. With a combat strength of 60 billion, it barely surpasses Piccolo, which is the same as Gascaco's normal combat effectiveness. At this level, you really can only play a little bit more carefully, otherwise there is no possibility of winning at all. Number 18 has no breath, nor can she perceive chi, but she has the intuition of a strong person. So after Frost broke out with all his strength, he did the same action as Vegeta. Number 18 raised her brow slightly, and a trace of disdain flashed across her face. Transformation. Is this all your power? It's disappointing. I'm sorry, because I still can't fully control the power in this state, so I rarely become like this when fighting. But if the opponent is you, it should be fine. Frost pretended to be humble, and then took the initiative to attack on the 18th, shouting, "Be careful, I'm going to attack." In fact, he had already acted. If you really hear what he said and then be vigilant, it must be too late. Just because the speed is too fast, others may not notice this little movement. As a person on the 18th, of course, she found out, but she didn't care, and the corners of her mouth showed even greater disdain. The 18th simply stood there and hit a straight punch directly. Seeing this, Frost couldn't help flashing a faint joy in his eyes, his fists clenched, and he directly greeted No 18 feet's fist. The difference between the strengths of the two sides is obviously very large. Frost's action seems very self-conscious, and people with eyesight must be full of puzzles. Even the 18th himself has no idea what Frost wants to do. Boom. As a result, the two fists did not meet together because an accident happened. A figure appeared on the ring without warning, holding the arms of the two people on the left and the right, blocking their attacks. What? Number 18 and Frost changed their expressions at the same time, and there was someone so calm that they blocked their attack. Baguette? Number 18 raised his brow slightly and looked at the figure in the middle. It turns out that this guy is so amazing. Although he knows that he is a combination of Son Goku and Vegeta, his strength is certainly not trivial, and he has also been recognized by gods of destruction, but number 18 has never seen it after all. Now, she can finally judge the realm of Vegeta. The normal combat effectiveness is far above her, and there are several kinds of transformations for Vegeta, right? It's really scary to think carefully. The 18th, who was about to explode, instantly calmed down and said nothing, just quietly waiting for the result. Frost was originally a gloomy villain. He had noticed Vegeta's extraordinariness long ago. Now that he saw the reaction of number 18, he immediately chose to be silent. Baguette, what are you doing? Champa jumped up with a swish, and said emotionally, why interfere with the game? Can't you not afford to lose? Beerus, you must give me an account of this matter. Beerus also frowned. What is this guy like Vegeta doing in the ring? Under this circumstance, Beerus was not good at favoring, and immediately said loudly, Baguette, you better give a reasonable reason. Look at it for yourself. Vegeta didn't say much, just flipped his wrist, and Frost's arm had been turned over by him, revealing a poisonous needle hidden on the back of his hand. What? Many people stood up directly. What's going on? Champa, it's you who should be accounted for now. Beerus immediately grabbed the subject and turned directly to Champa. Champa's blue veins throbbed on his forehead, and he seemed to be very angry. He roared angrily. Frost. Now, this is not a weapon, it's a part of my body. Frost explained before Champa, although it was just a futile dying struggle. Because the referee quickly stepped forward to check, and then said with a serious face, no, there are obviously traces of artificial production. Cut. There is no way to be seen through. Frost curled his lips in an uncomfortable way, but did not take it seriously. So the referee immediately announced, Frost is disqualified for a foul, and the winner is player number 18. The people in the 7th universe cheered, and Vegeta returned to his seat. In fact, he doesn't want to interfere in the game, but this matter will always help. It's better to let him go up and brush up on the sense of existence, especially in front of a beauty like the 18th, it feels pretty good. On the other side, Frost had just stepped off the ring, facing Champa's gloomy face. You made me ashamed. Champa gritted his teeth. Since coming into contact with the 7th universe, he felt that everything was not going well. The game was still like this. 3 people on his side had already been eliminated, and the second person from the other side hadn't made a lot of shots yet. And this time Frost fouled and was caught by the pesky Vegeta, which made Champa unacceptable. Huh. Frost said indifferently. I just want to quickly end this kind of competition that doesn't even have a prize. Are you going to be destroyed by me? You bastard. Champa gritted his teeth even more angrily. Frost was silent for a while, and could only bow his head and said, I'm sorry. Champa was speechless. Can't this guy be just a little bit? How can I vent my anger like this? After all, Frost is also working for the 6th universe. Even if he fouls, it is only to win. No matter how unreasonably Champa makes trouble, it is impossible to kill his players before the game is over. So things can only be revealed in this way. Frost was only verbally warned. In the original book, he was protected by Vegeta, because Vegeta had a deep hatred of Frieza, and when he saw Frost who looked the same, he wanted to kill it himself. But the person here is Vegeta Jr. Without that memory and hatred, of course he would not intervene. Frost had to bow his head and admit his mistake. The 6th universe's 4th person on stage is Caulifla. In fact, Caulifla's combat strength is only 2.5 billion, and among the 5 players in the 6th universe, it is stronger than Gabe. However, she was too arrogant. At first she even thought she was the strongest of the 5, and wanted to appear in the finale. If it weren't for Champa who didn't want to be extravagant, his character would definitely have destroyed Caulifla directly. In the end, Caulifla took a step back because of Gabe's reputation as Saiyan, and didn't appear until the 4th. I have to say that Caulifla's combat talent is indeed very strong, but that is just a talent, and her current strength is far behind after all. Before coming here, Caulifla had been sitting on the well and watching the sky. It wasn't until she found that the people on the ring were stronger than the other, and all except Gabe far surpassed her, that Caulifla realized that she was overwhelmed. But she is not the kind of person who is easily discouraged, so before taking the stage, she made up her mind that even if she can't beat the opponent, she will consume the opponent's physical strength. The result is, why do such a weak person appear in this kind of competition? When the 18th spoke, it was a merciless blow. She originally had expectations for her 4th opponent, but the reality far exceeded her imagination. So, she knocked Caulifla into the air with a single punch. Want to consume her energy? Are you kidding me? Cyborgs have unlimited energy? What's more, with such a big difference in strength, why should Caulifla consume her physical strength? The Vegeta in the auditorium didn't care about Caulifla, but looked at the 6th universe auditorium with interest. Kel also came, but unfortunately, seeing Caulifla being beaten into the air, although she was angry, she did not run away. Is this not enough stimulation, or is there no reaction? Vegeta rubbed his chin for a while, but didn't find the answer. Of course, he was only on a whim, paying attention to it a little, and didn't intend to go into it. Although Kel is the legendary Super Saiyan, he is very strong after the runaway, but it is only for Son Goku and others. In the eyes of Vegeta, even the fit warrior Kevlar was nothing. In the 7th universe player zone, Son Goku, Vegeta and Son Gohan are still wrangling to keep the last opponent, but in a blink of an eye, now there is only one left, and the 3 of them are dumbfounded at the same time. Hey, Vegeta Jr., is this number 18 so strong? Will she solve everyone alone? Son Goku slumped his head, instantly lost interest. Vegeta snorted coldly. How do I know about this kind of thing? You should ask Son Gohan about things on Earth. Son Gohan scratched his head and said, actually, I haven't seen number 18 in many years. I didn't expect her to become so great. But the last player in the 6th universe is very unusual. Even I have no chance of winning. Number 18 can't beat it. That guy. Son Goku and Vegeta looked at Hit at the same time. Hit's aura has been reduced, but the strong has the aura of the strong. Even if he does nothing but sits there, a strong sense of oppression is still coming over. They have already noticed that both Son Goku and Vegeta have Hit as their ultimate goal. Son Gohan is a little lacking in self-confidence, because he is much more rational than Son Goku and Vegeta. He never enjoys the fun of fighting. The purpose of fighting is for stability after victory. At this time, Hit played. He lowered his head slightly, put his hands in his trouser pockets, and slowly walked up the ring step by step, as if he didn't pay attention to everything around him. Blubbering guy. Number 18 frowned, a little wary in her heart, but on the surface she looked very disdainful. Of course she can see Hit's extraordinary. As the finale of the entire universe, how can she be easy to compete with? It was just that she was very upset to see Hit's attitude of not looking at her. Hit didn't reply, and he didn't even lift his eyelids. On the 18th, he was even more upset, and he yelled, in that case, just hit you away with a punch. She rushed forward suddenly, and was about to blow Hit away with a single blow like she did with the other people in front. As a result, before she rushed to Hit, there was a muffled bang, and no 18 feet's body flew out at a faster speed than before, and fell directly out of the ring. What's the situation? Everyone looked dumbfounded. On the 18th, he didn't react. She only felt that someone gave her abdomen with a strong force, and it was still painful now, and she didn't see the rest. Hey, Vegeta Jr., have you seen it? Son Goku fixed his gaze at Hit, who remained the same. Vegeta looked ugly, gritted his teeth and said, how is it possible? I don't know how he could see it, or how Hit could do it. Son Gohan also had a solemn face. The situation is a bit bad. It will be my turn in the next game, but I didn't see his movements clearly. There is no way. I can only try my best. Maybe it will let him expose a little flaw. Son Goku made a small calculation. This is for Son Gohan to find the way. Son Gohan knew this, but he couldn't help it because he had only this way to go now. The rules of time and space. In the 7th Universe Auditorium, Vegeta's eyes were surprised. He originally thought that Hit's flash time was at best only a rule of time, but he didn't expect that it also included space. No wonder it was so powerful. However, it is only powerful, but it is pitifully weak in the understanding of the rules. In fact, by this time, Vegeta had gradually understood one thing. The power of the rules, the stronger the person, the harder it is to perceive it. Just like when combat power is low, all kinds of superpowers and magic emerge in an endless stream, and many people can borrow the power of rules. There is also Gouda of the Kinwi team, which can freeze time. He can hold his breath for as long as he can stop time, and he can control opponents unable to move with his hands. This is also a spatial ability. In Hit's state, just a simple jump of 0.1 seconds, it became a very awesome thing. If Gouda was allowed to cultivate to Hit's realm, how abnormal would his ability to stop time and manipulate space? This was something that Vegeta hadn't figured out before, but now he has gradually understood it. It is easy to learn the power of rules when the combat power is low. But if you put your mind on the rules, your strength growth will be directly dragged down, and you will not even be able to continue to improve. And when the combat power is high, it is very difficult to get in touch with the power of rules, and it is very difficult to realize it. Even if you realize it, the power of rules is very limited. Just like Hit's rules of time and space, the limit jump can only reach a few tenths of a second, and no matter how much he cultivates, it can't exceed half a second. It seems that this world limits the martial arts school. For this reason, Vegeta's cultivation to become a god is something that even a god can't even think of. The game is still going on. This time the 7th universe is playing Son Gohan, and he exploded with all his strength as soon as he came up. What? Son Gohan instantly entered a mysterious state. According to the data from Vegeta's invisible detector, Son Gohan's combat power has already caught up with GT time and space, and the mysterious state has reached an astonishing 2.5 trillion. Under normal circumstances, it is 5 billion, which is already above Son Goku Jr. and Vegeta Jr. This breath erupted, and even Vegeta was a little surprised, let alone the others. Not bad, Saiyan's offspring. Beerus raised his brow slightly. Of course, this strength is not as good as Super Saiyan God, but it is much stronger than the original Super 3 Goku and Super 2 Vegeta. Beerus felt that even if he couldn't beat Hit, he should be able to force Hit to a certain extent. Okay. So awesome. The people in the 6th universe shuddered. Hit also was slightly surprised, and raised his eyelids to look at Son Gohan. But that's it. The 2.5 trillion combat power is not something that anyone can do. It is enough to get Hit's special look, but it is a pity that he is far from being an opponent. Sure enough, even if Son Gohan has raised his vigilance to the highest level, the result is almost the same as on the 18th. He was also hit by an invisible attack on the way he rushed towards Hit, and he flew out of the field in an instant, with no resistance at all. How strong is this Hit? Even Son Gohan, who has reached this level, is not a one-shot enemy, and he didn't even see the opponent's attack. The people in the 7th universe are all a little bit square, and can't help but become restless. Fortunately, there are stronger Vegeta and Son Goku behind, and they are still in the lead at this time. And everyone who comes from the Earth knows that as early as when Beerus descended on the Earth, Son Goku had successfully transformed into Super Saiyan God, which was a completely different state. With the two lessons learned, Vegeta has been more careful after playing. He made the same choice as the original Son Goku, and only used normal combat power to fight Hit at the beginning. It's a pity that he is not Son Goku. He doesn't have that single-cell intuition, or his self-consciousness is inconsistent with his own personality, which is completely useless. In the end, Vegeta still lost. He didn't even have a chance to transform, and he was beaten by Hit in a normal posture. However, Vegeta was able to detect Hit's time-flashing ability anyway. Flash time. Son Goku, who played at the end, was under great pressure and smiled bitterly. Even if you know the details of this trick, you still don't know how to crack it. But even so, Son Goku can only bite the bullet and play. Of course, he had a clue roughly, and the choices he made were the same as in the original book. And with Vegeta, he tried it once, and it was much more convenient for him to summarize. Asshole, this hit is too difficult to deal with. He has already eliminated the three of us. Beerus gritted his teeth with anger. They used to have a big advantage here, but they are now leveled directly, and they seem to have fallen behind. Now that I want to win the final victory, the chance is much smaller, and the greater possibility is to lose. Damn it. I knew I shouldn't have promised Vegeta, he should be left as the last card. Beerus hugged his head and looked annoyed. Whis laughed and said, Master Beerus, even if you persuade Vegeta, you will probably give up in the end because of Master Champa's words. By the way, that damn Champa, there are too many things, Beerus suddenly remembered. Before the game started, Champa ran against him with words and asked him to give up calling Vegeta to play. I thought that Vegeta didn't plan to play anyway, and was too lazy to argue with Champa, so he agreed. How upset you are thinking now, if you knew it a long time ago, even if you agree in the end, you should at least help yourself with universe for more convenience. Unfortunately, there is no regret medicine in the world. Compared to Beerus's chagrin, Champa couldn't help but start celebrating, and couldn't wait to laugh. Just when he was about to show his superiority in front of Beerus, something happened suddenly in the ring. With a bang, Son Goku completed the Super Saiyan blue color transformation. The strong breath of God made Champa stunned, and then his face became very ugly. Son Goku's transformation reminded him of some very bad memories, and his original good mood disappeared instantly. Hit. Don't keep your hands, let me get rid of him immediately. Champa jumped up and shouted, completely ignoring his image of gods of destruction. Many people were surprised when they noticed his strangeness. Now it seems obvious that Son Goku has fallen behind. Even if he becomes a Super Blue state, he is still passively beaten when he is playing against Hit. So why is Champa still reacting so fiercely? Is there something tricky about this transformation? Hit didn't notice any tricks, and he could even see that Son Goku was not yet adapted to this transformation. His energy was very unstable, and he might exit this state at any time. But Son Goku's talent surprised him. He could really predict his movements and crack his flashing skills. At this point, things are no different from the original work. Vegeta took a brief look. Although Son Goku's Ultra Blue transformation is not as stable as the original, its normal combat effectiveness is also weaker than the original. After all, the plot is much ahead of schedule, but he can still win Hit by luck. In the arena, Hit's abilities are greatly restricted, and he hasn't encountered an opponent for many years, and he is not in a peak state. Even if he bursts out of full energy form, he can't perfectly control this power. And Son Goku won Hit not hard power, but more intuition and skill. So the final result is no suspense. Without the Monaka factor, Son Goku will naturally not abstain. Hit was forced out of the ring and Son Goku won. Until this time, Beerus let out a long sigh, and he almost missed the food of the earth. Thinking of this, Beerus was secretly cruel, and he had to practice Son Goku and Vegeta well when he looked back, and at the worst, he had to surpass Hit completely. Champa on the other side started to mad at this moment. Losing the game is a small matter, but losing face is a big deal. In particular, things have gone wrong recently. When Vegeta was defeated by a human being, Vados almost abandoned him. In the end, he lost the game. He lost 6 Super Dragon Balls that he had worked so hard to find for several months. If Champa can calm down at this time, there will be a ghost. Just before he could do anything, Zeno came. All, Zeno-sama. Beerus and Champa were both shocked, and they ran over and knelt on the ground. Huan. Welcome to visit, Master Zeno, today. Are you here today? The gods of the 6th and 7th universes were trembling, kneeling before Zeno one by one, including gods of destruction, Angel, Realm King, Supreme Kai, and various planetary gods. Humans didn't respond much, even if they heard Whis' explanation, saying that Zeno is the apex god of the 12 universes. He was just surprised and didn't feel much. After all, this kind of god who stands at the top is too far away for them. Today, because you organized this kind of competition without authorization, let me remind you to pay attention. Zeno, which is only the size of a peas, floated in the air and said with a blank face, but after watching it, I think it's quite interesting. I even thought, next time I hold a full universe. Yes. I'm very sorry. Beerus and Champa were sweating with fright. Really? That must be interesting. Single-cell Son Goku didn't realize the problem at all, and immediately yelled, "Do it." Son Goku Jr., don't talk to Master Zeno without authorization. Beerus was taken aback, and it was too late to stop. But Zeno didn't care much, and smiled and said, "Yes, let's hold it, find a time." That's it. Son Goku stretched out his right hand towards Zeno. The two pencil guards standing behind Zeno instantly frowned and showed cold eyes, seeming to warn Son Goku. Wait a minute, Goku Jr. Beerus was covered in cold sweat. The result was beyond everyone's expectation. Zeno froze for a while, took small steps, walked up to Son Goku step by step, and shook hands with him. Well, that's it. Zeno also seemed to find it interesting. Son Goku suddenly grinned. The game between the two universes is so interesting. The game of the full range of 12 universes is definitely more enjoyable. The original matter was over here, and Zeno seemed to be leaving. Beerus and Champa let out a long sigh. At this time, Zeno suddenly said, "By the way, I heard that there is a name. Baguette? It seems to be the name, isn't he here?" In the next minute, Beerus and Champa became nervous again. Champa couldn't help swearing in his heart. There are too many things in the 7th universe. Beerus subconsciously looked in Vegeta's direction. At this moment Vegeta was also a little confused. How did Zeno know about him? Still actively mentioning his name. "My name is Vegeta." Vegeta Shishirin came to Zeno, and did not show respect to Zeno like other gods. In fact, even if he verbally called Beerus an adult, he never respected him. For him, the term adult is not a respectable name, which means adding a title to a face, just like the ancient officials called each other adult. His casual attitude caused the two pencil guards to cross their eyebrows again, but it was a pity that they were ignored again. "I heard that you have become a god on your own?" As soon as Zeno's words were uttered, everyone present blew up. Champa exclaimed, "How can a mere human being cultivate into a god?" Beerus quickly argued, "Master Zeno, there must be some misunderstanding in this. Vegeta can indeed transform and temporarily use the power of gods, but that power is completely different from practicing as a god." In fact, Vegeta's heart jumped slightly, but his reaction was not as intense as the others. Although it is said that if he cultivates to become a god without a god position, he will be wanted if he is discovered, so Vegeta has been hiding his true power for so long. But if Zeno really intends to destroy him, it won't be the tone it is now. With Zeno's position, you can ask someone to come over and attack him at will. Such as 12 Universe Angel, such as Grand Priest. Now Zeno is just such a very plain tone. Obviously he didn't take this matter at ease, or did he have other ideas? Thinking about this, Vegeta nodded very simply. "Yes, I am indeed a god." Boom. Vegeta did not say anything, but directly extracted the power of the rules from the rules of fighting and integrated it into his own energy. Afterwards, golden particle energy rose from his body, covering his whole body, and the majestic breath of God spread to the surroundings. What? The reaction this time was more intense than before, and the two universe gods all exclaimed, and even the two pencil guards behind Zeno showed incredible expressions. This. He hides such a powerful energy. Champa and Beerus were shocked. Under the blessing of the power of rules, Vegeta's normal combat effectiveness soared rapidly, from the original 5 trillion all the way to 1 Jing. Normally 1 Beijing, this is the lowest threshold for becoming a god, it is so terrifying. And this is just a normal state. Once he enters a combat state, that is, full energy form, his combat effectiveness will continue to increase. The full energy form is equivalent to the Super Red Realm. Further up, he can also superimpose the Super Game transformation. The Super 1 form is equivalent to the Super Blue Realm. So Super 2, Super 3, Super 4. These have to be sorted out one by one. Shocked. As long as the gods who could perceive the energy of the gods were all stunned. Is this really a god? This is a real god, not a pseudo-god like Super Saiyan. This state. How did he do it? Son Goku and Vegeta were also dumbfounded. They never thought that human beings could actually cultivate all their own energy into divine energy. Before that, they were still complacent about being able to put on a breath of God. But the reality is that Vegeta told them with facts that these are just the rest of his playing when he was a child. Of course, except for a limited number of humans such as Son Goku and Vegeta, the rest are people who have never been in contact with God energy and do not understand God energy at all. They were less shocked by Vegeta's transformation at this time, but they were all unclear. Zeno was the only one who did not change his expression. Seeing Vegeta's whole body releasing golden particle energy, he couldn't help but said with great interest, "Is this the energy for you to cultivate into a god? It feels so interesting. I heard that you will still many kinds of transformations? Can you show me these transformations?" Vegeta glanced at him. "If it changes like this, it's too cheap, isn't it? I am not a monkey juggler." But Zeno can't offend him, and he has to rely on him to have a chance to gain the position of god and get the chance to become a god with justifiable reason. Therefore, Vegeta took the opportunity to say, "Because I just made a god by chance and didn't get the god position, so I can't use the god energy privately. If Zeno-sama wants to see, does it mean that you have approved me to use gods casually? Energy up." According to Vegeta's original idea, it was to find some interesting toys from the earth to bribe Zeno, such as the Zhaobawang learning machine. As long as it can make Zeno happy, give him a god position at that time, so that he can use the god energy in an open and honest manner. But after returning to this time and space, Vegeta was busy feeling incomprehensible, delayed for some time, and it was not easy to go directly to the door. After all, the things that were obtained on the initiative were relatively cheap. But he didn't expect that Zeno would mention him himself, and he knew that he had already become a god, so he didn't seem to have any intention of pursuing it. Of such a good opportunity, Vegeta would certainly not let it go, and climbed straight up the pole. However, Zeno just looks small and simple, but that doesn't mean he has no IQ. Hearing what Vegeta said, Zeno didn't immediately agree, but began to ponder. "I heard that during the battle with Beerus, you accidentally discovered the way to becoming a god, and by coincidence you entered the realm of gods. After becoming a god, you did not abuse this power, and knowing that you cannot become a god without a god position. Under the circumstances, the divine energy is immediately stripped away. So, you don't violate the rules, you can make an exception and be promoted to divine." After Zeno pondered, he gave such an answer. Vegeta was taken aback for a moment, but didn't expect things to be so simple. How to put it, this world is indeed a passionate and positive world, and there is no shady power like some fan novels. Fortunately, Vegeta's own temperament is not along a ocean, otherwise, after gaining a powerful force, I am afraid that he will not be so obedient, and naturally he will not be able to get such convenience. "What, in the fight with me?" Beerus's eyes widened when he heard this, and he didn't think of it at all. Whis reminded. "It was the first time Beerus went to Earth. Mr. Bagot accidentally fell into the crack of time and space because of you. Because of this incident, he understood the rules of destruction in the rules of time and space, but now it seems that there are even more terrific rules." "You said he can even break the rules?" Beerus's eyes widened. Champa also watched it for the first time. They must be more sensitive to breaking the rules, as gods of destruction. Whis smiled and said, "It is true. Vegeta has never tried his best to fight, and I don't know his true level, so I can't say whether it is his opponent." Whis noticed it early on. In his realm, even if Vegeta stripped the god energy, some abnormalities would be discovered by him. Vados is also aware. This is why they look at Vegeta differently. "Well, what kind of god should I give you?" Zeno was still entangled, but soon he remembered another thing, and immediately changed his words. "By the way, you can show me your strength first, and then I decide what god position to arrange for you." Now that this situation shows his strength, Vegeta can accept it much better. After all, applicants always have to show themselves, and the boss can arrange the job, right? However, Vegeta doesn't care about the matter of the position of god at all, he just needs a reason to improve his strength without scrutiny. "Yes." Beiji nodded and said, "But if you show your strength, you should have an opponent, right?" "That's right, otherwise it won't look good." Zeno is thinking about whether the game is good or not. He looked at Beerus and Champa subconsciously. After all, gods of destruction is the strongest in the universe. As a result, Beerus and Champa immediately shook their heads, resolutely not to do anything with Vegeta. Joke. When Vegeta was still weak, Beerus had never beaten him, and now he has been improved by n times. How could he still play with Vegeta? As for Champa, the last time he was on the star of Beerus is still vivid, and it is a shadow he will never get rid of all his life. "You are too weak." Zeno didn't want them to take action, but now seeing their reaction, he said something heartbreaking. Beerus and Champa almost vomited blood. No matter what, they are also dignified gods of destruction, the strongest in the universe. Okay. It was said to be too weak. Well, compared with Vegeta, they can only gnaw this title. "You come." Zeno finally pointed to Angel Whis. Huh. Whis was stunned. Although he was indeed the most suitable here, he still didn't expect Zeno to be so straightforward. As for Vados, although the strength is similar to Whis, when facing Vegeta, he is not determined, and I am afraid that Zeno will not be able to achieve the effect that Zeno wants. Master Zeno, I might try my best to fight Vegeta, is that okay? Whis confirmed again. Because Angel's setting is to remain neutral, injustice is not evil, nor can he fight. I agree. After Zeno finished speaking, he couldn't wait to urge him. Hurry up, I want to watch Vegeta transform. Only this time, Zeno looks more like a child. Okay, I see. Whis smiled slightly, then took a look at the ring there. In this case, the ring is too small. I'm coming. Vados took the initiative and waved the scepter in his hand. He didn't know what rules were used. The ring was quickly expanded until it was nearly 100 times larger than the original before it stopped. It needs to be reinforced. The Vados scepter waved again, and the ground was covered with a layer of regular force, and all the stone slabs were replaced by the hardest Kassin steel. That's it. Vados nodded in satisfaction. Although in the realm of Whis, if you fight with all your strength, this level of arena can't hold up. But as long as it's not against the ring, it's okay to resist the aftermath. Baguette going to fight Whis. I'm looking forward to it. Son Goku immediately jumped with excitement. Yeah, I look forward to it. The Zeno next to him gave Son Goku a look, and danced like him, making everyone around him look at each other for a while. This is the supreme god Zeno who stands at the apex of the 12 universe. It's a child no matter how you look at it. However, they also expressed expectations for this battle. How far can human beings become gods by cultivating themselves? You know, the Protoss who climbed up from the position of god step by step, although they cultivated god energy at the beginning, their strength was quite weak. For example, Supreme Kai and the like, the combat strength is only hundreds of millions. It is the first time in history that human beings have cultivated directly into gods without going through the position of gods. Now there is a special case, it is guaranteed that there will be a second case in the future, a third case. Therefore, they must understand Vegeta's details in order to better cope with the possible future crises. Whis? Vegeta looked at Whis, and a strong sense of war surged in his heart. Oh, it seems that Mr. Vegeta really wants to fight me, Whis said with a smile. The two were already on the ring, standing face to face at a distance. The others were in the auditorium. Zeno was floating in the sky, waiting to watch the battle. Isn't Mr. Whis the same? I can feel that you haven't used your full strength in a long time. Do you need to give you some time to warm up? Vegeta also smiled. Whis smiled. Mr. Vegeta should also take time to transform, right? You are not my opponent now like you. This is indeed a fact and cannot be refuted. Beiji said, well, let Zeno-sama look at my transformation. Come here. Zeno's eyes widened when he heard Vegeta say this. The transformation of Son Goku just now made him feel very refreshed. I heard that Vegeta's transformation ability is stronger than Son Goku. Of course, he is looking forward to it very much. As for why I heard, well, Vegeta actually noticed it from the beginning. Zeno had heard of his god realm, he had not violated the rules when he became a god, and he had also heard of his ability to transform. In other words, Zeno didn't see it by himself at all. This is very important, so we must focus on preparation for the exam. Then, Mr. Whis, please, let me change myself first. Vegeta made a spoof. Regardless of whether Whis did the warm-up or not, the golden particle-like divine energy burst out in an instant, and then continued to condense the energy. First of all, the god realm in full energy form. Boom. The golden color spread, the energy of the particles rose, and Vegeta's hair instantly turned golden, all but the bangs stood upright, and his pupils also turned golden. Compared with the Super 1 state, this golden color looks more shiny. The god realm of full energy form is the same realm as Super Red and Super Psy Rose, but it is an advanced version, and its combat power is completely different. To put it simply, Super Red is the state in which the breath of ordinary people stimulates the rules of fighting, and the energy erupts after an abnormal change. Chaos I Rose is the state where Gota's energy stimulates the rules of fighting, and the energy bursts out after the energy changes. But now Vegeta is the divine energy integrated into the fighting rules, and there is also an energy abnormality. In this state, Vegeta's combat strength has reached 20 Jing. Next is Super 1 God Realm. Boom. The energy of the golden particles became more solid, almost in the form of burning flames. The flame moved slightly, and the color in the center gradually deepened, slowly turning orange. The flame-shaped particle energy has now become 2 layers, the middle is orange, and the outside is golden. Vegeta's appearance has not changed much, only the upside-down hair has been rendered orange, and the pupils have also become orange. Vegeta's breath is still so stable, it seems that there is no change except for the outside, but the people who can really feel the breath of God are very shocked. The strength of Vegeta's combat power in the Super 1 God realm is 50 Jing. It's not as exaggerated as Super Saiyan's 50 times increase, but it is also a bit larger than Super Red's transformation into Super Blue, which directly reaches 2.5 times. So handsome. Women such as Bulma didn't know what was strong or not. They only saw that Vegeta in this form seemed to be burning with substantial flames, and it looked really cool. Almost all the women present showed obsessive expressions. In addition to the two well-known wives, Bulma and Chi-Chi, Tai-Si also fell directly, even on the 18th with a trance. In addition, Angel Vados can't calm down. Even if she is Angel, the aesthetics is still not much different from that of ordinary women. She bit her lower lip, and a long hesitating decision was secretly made in her heart. It's amazing, it's Vegeta. Son Goku and Vegeta were already dumbfounded. Under the shock of this breath, they even felt that even if they worked hard for a lifetime, they might not be able to reach Vegeta's current height. After all, even if they completely control the Ultra Blue transformation, their combat effectiveness still stays in trillions. I want to reach the level of Beijing, but I don't know when it will be. What's more, Vegeta's limit has not yet reached. At this level, it's not yet Whis' opponent. Vegeta sensed his physical condition, and his strength had improved a lot, but he had cultivated it bit by bit, and he could use it like an arm, without having to polish it as hard as he did when he was just crossing. In that case, try the Super Second God realm. Vegeta's eyes condensed, and energy surged wildly again. Boom. This degree of transformation can still be done easily. The divine energy exploded again. The flame-shaped energy that was originally divided into two layers was now superimposed with a layer of red, which is now more similar to flames. The outermost is golden, the middle is orange, and the middle is red. The hair and eyes of Vegeta were rendered red as a result. In addition, just like the ordinary Super 2, there are more bangs erected, and only a pinch is left on the forehead. Vegeta's eyes become sharper and his facial features become more prominent. 100 Jing. Feeling the explosive energy, Vegeta clenched his fist. This level should be able to compete with Whis. It's so cool. Zeno clapped his palms there, his face leaping for joy. It's like a kid who sees a circus show. Sweat. Vegeta actually didn't like this feeling, although he wouldn't directly explode like Long Aocean's glass heart, but in the end he was also a traverser and always had a superior mentality. That's why he has to find ways to obtain the position of God first. As long as he can use his power in an open manner, he can continue to ascend. According to the current growth rate, it will not take long to surpass the boundaries of the Dragon Ball world. At that time, as long as his strength is at the top, he can ignore all rules and gain greater freedom, not to mention walking on thin ice in front of Zeno. You really have reached this level. Whis, who was on the other side, was surprised. Before, I only vaguely felt that Vegeta was not weaker than him, but now this breath broke out and he had completely caught up with him, and the vague feeling had become the reality before his eyes. However, what you were talking about was the realm of Super 2 gods, so there is still a realm of Super 3 gods, and a realm of Super 4 gods. Whis exclaimed, his expression turned weird again. He is not jealous of Vegeta's strength, but if Saiyan grows up to reach this point, it would be too scary, right? No, there is no Super 3 God realm. However, Vegeta shook his head and said, the transformation of God realm is different from the normal state. In terms of energy, Super 2 is already the limit. However, it should be possible to go to Super 4 development, but I haven't been able to comprehend that transformation for the time being. Super 1, Super 2, and Super 3 are all changes in energy, while Super 4 is blood. It is not so much change, it is evolution. If you want to transform into the Super 4 God realm, you need to develop the fighting rules to the extreme on the existing basis, and at least the energy fusion degree must reach 100%. However, since Vegeta reached the realm of gods, his energy fusion degree has been stuck at 80%, and he hasn't made any progress. He could clearly feel that there was only a thin layer of window paper missing now. As long as this layer of window paper is pierced, the energy fusion will be completed instantly, reaching 100%. At that time, his strength and realm will reach a new level, reaching a level that is completely unimaginable now. So, when the energy fusion is completed, will it really be comparable to the Grand Priest? Now Vegeta doesn't know the answer, but he can be sure that this goal is not far away. Let you wait a long time, now I'm ready. Vegeta looked at Whis, his warfare rising in his eyes. After reaching the realm of God, he hasn't really used this power yet, and he doesn't know what height he will reach after it is fully displayed. Now it is just time to use Whis to test the limit. Regardless of the apparent combat effectiveness of the two, Whis has been an angel for hundreds of millions of years after all, and has accumulated a solid foundation, and will be perfectly at ease and perfect. If talking about the overall strength, Vegeta at this stage may still fall behind. However, he also has his own advantages. Saiyan is born with his own fighting rules, the stronger he is in Vietnam, and Vegeta himself is the most perfect physique, with extraordinary talents. After a battle, it is really hard to say which one wins and which loses. Mr. Vegeta can attack at any time, don't worry about me being out of state. Whis simply stood there, with a slight smile on his mouth. No matter how you look at it, it's the same as usual, it doesn't seem to be in a fighting state at all. For the master, Whis is now full of flaws, and it seems that any martial artist can easily fall down. Vegeta frowned and told him instinctively that Whis might have entered a special state. Once he launches an attack, the opponent can definitely react to it in the first place and counterattack, just like ZZ. Could it be that Whis has already integrated the self-consciousness into the state of life? But even so, it should be easier to fight with vigilance than to relax your body? Vegeta couldn't see why Whis hadn't been vigilant, so he could only test it out first. Boom. Vegeta stomped his right foot on the ground, making a thunderous explosion, and his whole body suddenly exploded, hitting his fist directly, and the target was the front of Whis. The flame-like energy of 3 colors of gold, orange and red rose all over him, and when his fist waved, the 3-color energy roared. It was simple to record a straight punch, but it looked like it had performed some kind of extremely powerful trick. There are very few people in the field who can keep up with Vegeta's speed, and only those with excessive combat power can barely see Vegeta's trajectory. In the eyes of ordinary people, the moment the muffled thunder sounded, Vegeta's figure was still there, but a 3-color channel had been drawn between him and Whis. Just when everyone thought that the violent collision would erupt in an instant, Whis still stood there with a faint smile, without any movement. It seemed that he didn't pay attention to Vegeta's attack at all. However, before they were weird, Vegeta, who had rushed in front of Whis, disappeared suddenly and jumped out from the side, still in the original action, but the attack position had already deviated. The rules of time and space are used well. Whis let out a chuckle, and gently waved the scepter in his hand, just blocking Vegeta's fist. As expected of Whis, you caught it so easily. Vegeta also smiled. Even though he said that, there was no surprise on his face. He would be surprised if he hit Whis so easily. However, Vegeta's attack was not really as simple as it seemed. Break the rules, start. What? Sure enough, Whis had just blocked Vegeta's attack, and a look of surprise suddenly appeared on his face. Boom. The sky blue particle energy erupted from Whis, and the shape was also similar to a burning flame. Compared with Beerus's level of energy, it was obviously much more solid. However, compared with Vegeta, the two sides should be in the same position, and there is no way to see which one is strong or weak. The combat strength of the same 100 Jing is about the same in terms of solidity, and the suspense of this battle is even more difficult to judge. It seems that there is really no need to warm up. Feeling the power erupting from Whis in an instant, Vegeta raised his brow slightly. He thought that Whis hadn't fought for so many years, and his body and energy would be somewhat rusty. But now it looks like it's been fighting all the year round, saying that it broke out. However, this sky blue energy form did not appear to have appeared in the original work. It was the first time that Vegeta saw Whis bursting with energy. Mr. Vegeta really is a genius in combat. He has just become a god. The power of rules is used so skillfully, which is much better than some irresponsible gods of destruction. Whis chuckled, his hands didn't stop. After the energy burst, he used the scepter as a weapon to easily block Vegeta's next attack. Vegeta didn't retreat with a single blow. The space shuttle just wanted to hit Whis by surprise and take the lead. Unexpectedly, Whis seemed unprepared, but it was exactly the same as he guessed. Self-consciousness had almost become instinct. When the attack changed direction and reached his body, Whis had already reacted. But since he couldn't get the upper hand, Vegeta also wanted to fight Whis head-on to test the gap between the two sides. So after seeing the Whis energy burst, the continuous offensive broke out at the same time, and the two fought for countless rounds in an instant. Bang bang bang. It seems to be just a simple collision of fists and feet, and the 3-color flames are constantly beating, leaning against each other with the sky blue flames, not giving way to each other. However, every time the energy of the two parties touched, the sky blue flame would flicker slightly. It seemed to go out for a short period of time, and then ignited quickly. This was not because Whis used any special tricks, but because he suffered a loss in terms of rules, which was why he suddenly burst into energy. Compared to Lord Beerus, I think Mr. Baguette is more suitable to be a gods of destruction. Whis seemed to be suppressed, but his face was still calm. Hey, Whis, you talk too much. Beerus gritted his teeth in the auditorium, roaring, cold sweat on his forehead. The previous sentence, some irresponsible gods of destruction, had already made Beerus frightened, but he didn't react at the time, so he didn't refute it. But now, Whis added something similar, Beerus can still sit still. Don't forget, Zeno-sama can watch the battle on the spot. Whis has no time to worry about Beerus's mood now. When Vegeta stepped up his energy output step by step, breaking the rules became more and more smooth, and from time to time he came back to time and space. Whis, who was originally indifferent, also began to feel pressured, and he couldn't help but increase his energy to deal with it. Mr. Vegeta is indeed great, but you are not the only one who understands the power of rules. Whis smiled slightly, and suddenly there was some mysterious power in his energy. Vegeta's attack was immediately blocked, and the rules of destruction that had been overwhelmed by the past did not work anymore. This rule. Vegeta's eyes narrowed slightly. Whenever his breaking rules are released, it will be offset by some ability, and it will not work at all. Yes, it is offsetting, not resisting. In this case, the battle between the two sides quickly entered a stalemate, and Vegeta's attack could not bring any harm to Whis. Whis has always been in a defensive counterattack. He would only attack when he caught the opportunity, but he didn't take the initiative to attack. It seemed to be to see Vegeta's strength clearly. The strength of the combat power is roughly the same, but the energy is minimal, but it is blocked by the freedom of muscle memory. Now the power of the rules is not dominant. If Vegeta wants to win, he can only think of other ways. Is it incomprehensible? Vegeta can conclude that once he enters non-comprehensiveness, Whis will definitely display his true self-consciousness. With his current comprehension of non-comparable freedom, facing perfect freedom, isn't that asking for trouble? However, it may be possible to understand perfection and freedom by this. Fight. Vegeta's eyes condensed, and the tricolor energy suddenly changed slightly. The golden and orange colors on the periphery have instantly deepened a lot, and have gradually changed to red. If you just look at it roughly, you really can't see that they are actually three colors. Oh. Have you come to this point? Whis raised his brow slightly, and then as expected, as Vegeta's guess, he directly showed his perfect self-consciousness. The original sky blue flame energy disappeared in an instant, and turned into silver-white. Whether it is power, speed or reaction, it has been increased many times in an instant. Vegeta's incomprehensiveness has gone a step further than half a step, but there is still some way to go from perfection. At this time, facing Whis's perfect freedom, he fell short of the wind in an instant. The situation had taken a turn for the worse in the blink of an eye, and Vegeta looked dangerous. But after all, he was steady. He looked thrilling, but he was always able to withstand Whis attacks, and he became more and more proficient in understanding the incomprehensibility. That's it. Vegeta was overjoyed. Saiyan's physique was really a bug. It is difficult to make progress behind closed doors. Only under tremendous pressure can he continue to improve. He hovered in the air without the consciousness of energy, and sensed everything around him with 360-degree senses without blind spots. He perceives all the movements of Whis, imprints it into his mind, and then conveys it to his body. When consciousness is running at a high speed, the freedom of phaselessness is getting closer and closer to perfection. If the opponent is not Whis, if you change to someone else, you may change your move now and take the opportunity to launch a fierce attack on Vegeta. But now it was Whis who was at war with Vegeta. Aware that Vegeta's incomprehensiveness was comprehending at an astonishing speed, Whis couldn't help smiling, maintaining the same rhythm, and helping Vegeta by the way. Boom. Finally, with the help of Whis, Vegeta's entire temperament changed, and the gold and orange in the tricolor energy were completely transformed into red, which combined with the red in the center to form a single color. Crimson. The three color energies merged together, and Vegeta's energy intensity exploded again, from the original 100 Jing directly to 200 Jing, which instantly doubled. The perfect level is incomprehensible and complete. The feeling of Vegeta is very strange now. It seems that all consciousness is completely separated from the body, and there is a feeling of soul out of the body. However, the control of the energy in the body has risen to a new level. As long as he moves his thoughts a little, the energy in the body will move according to his heart, and he can move it as he wants. Kamehameha wave. When Vegeta thought about it, he didn't need time to gather his energy, and there was already a mass of compressed energy in his palm, and he hit Whis in an instant. Oh, it's improved again. Whis smiled, seeming to be frightened by the intensity of this Kamehameha, but in fact he wasn't panicked at all. Perfect freedom is at the same level as perfect freedom, and the energy intensity of Vegeta has increased. How could Whis still stop at 100 Beijing? The silver-white flames exploded, and Whis held the scepter horizontally in front of him and blocked the Kamehameha. It's just that Whis doesn't look so calm this time, and his body is pushed a few kilometers away from the spot until he reaches the edge of the ring. Even Kasingen, the hardest universe, was drawn by Whis's feet with 2 long gaps. But that's it, not causing any harm to Whis itself. Mr. Whis really deserves to be Mr. Whis. This strength really amazes me. Vegeta didn't expect that Whis's strength could reach this level. He is almost at the peak of his current state. It is extremely difficult for him to go further, but he didn't expect Whis to be injured. But he could also detect that Whis did his best without any reservations. Therefore, Vegeta's Super 2 God's Realm combined with perfection and incomprehensiveness, only tied with Whis. However, I won in the end. The corner of Vegeta's mouth grinned slightly, and his body suddenly disappeared in place. Not good. The expression on Whis's face changed for the first time, and he was not only surprised, but also amazed. Time travel. Vegeta disappeared from the spot, and he appeared again before Whis. However, the Vegeta who shuttled out of time and space was no longer the original image, but changed to another image, and even withdrew from the realm of gods. Super Saiyan 4 of Super Saiyan Blue color. To put it simply, Super 4 is superimposed on Super Blue. God Realm was unable to transform into Super 4 for the time being, so the combat effectiveness was still weakened. Vegeta chose to strip the God energy again, transform from the normal state into a Super 4, and then superimpose the Super Blue of the pseudo-God. Super IV is bloodline evolution, while Super Psi God is energy mutation, and the 2 transformations are completely compatible. However, the superposition of the 2 transformations is already the limit, and it is no longer possible to enter the perfect non-comprehensiveness. But even so, Vegeta's combat strength has now reached 250 Jing, which has properly surpassed Whis. In addition, Vegeta suddenly activated the rules of time and space to complete the transformation in time and space, giving Whis no time to react at all. So, the result was already obvious, and Whis was blown out by Vegeta with a punch. What? Seeing Whis flew with a punch, almost all the gods in the audience stood up, surprised one by one. This is Angel. The dimension completely surpasses the boundaries of the universe and is far stronger than gods of destruction. However, the human beings in the universe, through their own cultivation, have been elevated enough to blow Angel, who is 1 dimension above the universe, with a punch. For the gods present, this situation is almost like a dream. Not to mention the gods, even Whis himself couldn't believe it. He knew that Vegeta was very strong, and he had reached a realm close to him, or even equal to him. But after all, Whis has lived for hundreds of millions of years, and he has an insight beyond universe. He has absolute confidence. Even if Vegeta's energy intensity exceeds him, he will not be his opponent. Not only Vegeta, but all the 12 universes, as long as they are natives, no matter whether they are humans or Protoss, no one's strength will be taken care of by Angel. Because they belong to a higher level of beings, they have detached themselves from the universe. With this mentality, Whis will always look calm and indifferent. He doesn't care about everything. No one or anything can threaten him. So even if Vegeta used him to hone his incompatibility, Whis still actively cooperated. In his opinion, even if Vegeta realizes perfection and freedom, what can he do? As long as he gets serious, he can still crush it easily. That's right, until now, Whis wasn't serious fighting. Power. Can it still be used like this? Whis's face has sunk, showing that his mood is not beautiful at the moment. Think about it, too. Whoever suffers from an ant will not be happy no matter how good the character is. It can be considered that Whis is better at conserving, and there is no glass heart exploding, and he can still keep calm at this time. %GS But even so, he also has a faint tendency to run away with energy, and a terrifying coercion faintly rises from his body. Originally intending to continue to attack, Vegeta, who had won the battle in one breath, suddenly sensed this invisible aura, and suddenly his expression condensed and stopped the attack. Is there any way to hide? Vegeta was solemn, his face on guard. The current strength of Whis has greatly exceeded his estimation, and he did not expect that there would be unused methods. If it all breaks out, how far can it be? and it is said that one finger can defeat his Grand Priest. To what extent? The strength of Grand Priest is only ranked in the top 5, so what exists before him? A series of questions flashed through Vegeta's mind. He didn't expect that the power limit of the Dragon Ball world would be so high. He thought he would reach the limit soon. However, this is not the time to think about these issues. At this time, the energy in Whis' body has completely disappeared, but the aura has not weakened, but is constantly improving. It has surpassed the original limit of 200 Beijing in just an instant, and it is still rising rapidly. 210 220 250 300 what? Vegeta's expression changed slightly. It's over 300 Beijing, still improving? Where is the limit of Whis? Is Angel so scary? Enough. But at this moment, a figure suddenly appeared, slapped Whis' head with a palm. The breath that had been continuously rising was completely wiped out by this palm. Do you want to disappear? With one hand behind him, the visitor looked at Whis indifferently. Whis seemed to come back to his senses in a trance, his face changed slightly, and then knelt on one knee. Master Grand Priest. See Grand Priest. The gods also reacted, ignoring the question of the reason, and ran over to salute one by one. Compared to the knees when they met Zeno, for the Grand Priest, they just knelt on one knee, but their respect was no less than when they faced Zeno. Grand Priest? Who is this? Son Goku stabbed Vegeta beside him. Although the battle just now was short, he still saw his blood boil, and the high-end methods involved simply refreshed their horizons. Vegeta rolled his eyes and didn't want to talk to Son Goku at all. The two have stayed together almost since birth. How could he know something that Son Goku didn't know? This time, because the matter involved Whis was not in the mood to introduce them. After Grand Priest exempted others, he looked at Whis and said, "You should know that Angel cannot use the rules of natality. Master Zeno allows you to fight as hard as you can, but the rules of natality are not included." Yes. Whis knows his mistake. Whis lowered his head, with a good attitude of admitting his mistakes. In fact, he was just dazzled by the blood just now. He didn't expect that Vegeta could explode with power above him, and suddenly wanted to see Vegeta's limits. Only then did he subconsciously explode into a stronger state, but he forgot that it was a taboo. In comparison, getting a punch by Vegeta was a trivial matter. There will certainly be anger, but with Whis' character, he will not turn into anger from anger. Grand Priest took a deep look at him, and finally exhorted, "Be careful later." He didn't say much about Whis, because he believed in his children. See Master Zeno. It was impolite before. The Grand Priest turned to Zeno and bowed slightly. Of course Zeno wouldn't care. At this time, there was still an unfinished smile on his face. He was refreshed to watch the battle just now, especially Vegeta's continuous transformations. After a few brief words, Grand Priest turned to Vegeta. "It is really surprising that you have such a powerful character in the universe, and you are upright and of good character. You can indeed make an exception and be promoted to God." "Thank you, Grand Priest," Vegeta replied casually. In fact, his attention was more on the previous remarks. Angel's rules of life seem to be a nature of the rules of fighting with Saiyan. It's just that Angel will be wiped out if he fights with all his strength. It seems that it is because of the restriction of the rules of life. If you look at it this way, it doesn't matter how much combat power this natal rule can improve. I have discussed with Master Zeno. With your strength, you don't need to serve in the 12 universe. This is too overkill. Outside of this universe, there is a vacancy in the position of God, which is just right for you. Grand Priest has a clear idea. His steward named Zeno is actually a spokesperson. As long as he speaks, he basically represents Zeno. Outside the universe? Vegeta was taken aback. Is there a world outside the universe? Does this jump out of the original setting? Although his current strength is indeed beyond the limits of the universe, he still doesn't want to leave this universe so soon. In fact, it is not a departure from the universe, but a presence in time and space. The Grand Priest seemed to see Vegeta's concerns and smiled and said, "The gods of destruction of time, this is the position of God arranged for you." The gods of destruction? Vegeta was stunned. Is there such a god in the Dragon Ball world? Well, let me introduce you to someone first. Grand Priest took out his scepter and used magical magic to make a certain summon. Soon, a little loli with orange hair and pink skin appeared in front of her eyes. She and Supreme Kai should be of the same race, but they look cute. "Meet Master Zeno, Master Grand Priest." Little Lori saluted Zeno and Grand Priest. She just bowed slightly, not like the gods of the 6th universe and the 7th universe. Zeno didn't express his opinion. After Grand Priest came over, he didn't make any comments. Grand Priest was in charge of everything. Grand Priest introduced to Vegeta. Her name is Kaiyan, and the current Supreme Kai is the Supreme Kai who maintains time and protects time and space. She is now in charge of time and space issues. Supreme Kai Kaiyan took a curious look at Vegeta. She was only called by the Grand Priest and didn't know what happened. Hearing what Grand Priest said, I thought there was something wrong with the time and space. Kaiyan said immediately. The warriors in the Dark Demon Realm have become more active recently than before. I have been running for this, and I really have no time to deal with other things. The implication is that she can't handle the big things, and she has no time to deal with the small things. Vegeta suddenly couldn't help laughing. This woman was quite individual. Moreover, having been in contact with so many gods, it seems that only this time Supreme Kai dares to be so casual in front of the Grand Priest. Just having said that, where is the Dark Demon Realm? Does Dragon Ball have this plane? What does it have to do with the world of Demon King Doppler? Before Vegeta crossed, he didn't even finish watching the Dragon Ball Super, let alone a game adaptation released behind it. Grand Priest didn't answer Kain's words, but just said to Vegeta. Although Kain's power is not weak, it doesn't matter if it is placed in multiple time and space. With her ability, it is indeed only capable of time. Supreme Kai, take care of time and space, as if there is a powerful time and space disruptor now, she can't handle it anymore. Vegeta thoughtfully, roughly understood the division of the god of time and space. Manipulating time is a felony. For the confusion of time and space itself, or the chaos caused by man, the god of time and space needs to be maintained and cleaned. Just like the humans on the earth, in the future, Trunks and Cells will both be disruptors of time and space, and the god of time and space has the responsibility and power to deal with them. Of course, the main task of Supreme Kai of Time is not to deal with time and space disruptors, but to sort out the time and space that has been disrupted. And now the gods of destruction arranged by the Grand Priest for Vegeta is aimed at the disruptors of time and space. To put it simply, once there is a strong person who destroys time and space, gods of destruction of time must be used to dissuade or destroy, and then Supreme Kai of Time will clean up the mess. This can also be regarded as a relative existence of creation and destruction. I have to say that the god of time gods of destruction really doesn't fit Vegeta better than this. Vegeta understood, but Kaiyan, who was suddenly called over, did not understand. When she heard Grand Priest's words, she thought she was dissatisfied with her ability, and immediately defended. Master Grand Priest, I have always had a good job. Although those demon warriors are very strong, I have already looked for them from other time and space. Many helpers passed by. Seeing her reacting so strongly, Grand Priest couldn't help but smile and said, Don't worry, I don't want to punish you, but find a helper for you. You are not talking about him, are you? Kaiyan looked suspiciously at Vegeta. The helpers she was looking for in time and space were indeed Saiyan, but after all, the timeline was different. The most important thing is that Vegeta's appearance and temperament have long been different from the original, so Kaiyan did not recognize it immediately. Yes, from today, Vegeta will take up the position of gods of destruction. In the future, he will be mainly responsible for the problems of the time and space disruptors. You only need to assist him in completing the time and space maintenance. Grand Priest gave her one. The answer is yes. You said, he is Vegeta? How is this possible? Kaiyan was shocked. Isn't Vegeta the earring fit fighter of Son Goku and Vegeta? But Son Goku and Vegeta are just not far away. Is this another spatio-temporal disruptor? It's not right. If it is really time and space disruptors, Grand Priest and Zeno will not know. Of course, Kaiyan has no doubts about Vegeta's strength. It would be a good thing for him to come to the gods of destruction at the time, and Kaiyan would be much easier by then. The Grand Priest is after all the Grand Priest. Of course, I know what Kaiyan is surprised about. He smiled and said, in short, this is the case. You can find out about the details afterwards. Now, I ask Master Zeno to make Vegeta a god. After speaking, he bowed aside and let Zeno out. Zeno looked at Vegeta and said, a baguette, you already understand the matter. Is there anything else you want to say? Once you accept the position of God, you have to shoulder the responsibilities brought about by the position of God. If you neglect your duty or abuse its power, I will eliminate you. Vegeta didn't directly agree. Even if this god position seemed to him like a fish in the water and even more powerful, he still wanted to understand it clearly before accepting it. Baguette asked. Is there an accurate standard for the so-called dereliction of duty and abuse of power? If there is no space-time disruptor, do I have to stay in this space-time? Otherwise, I will become a space-time disruptor? Grand Priest replied for Zeno. Since it is the gods of destruction of time, the responsibility is to manage time and space. Naturally, you don't have to stay in this time and space. On the contrary, if you stay in the same time and space, it is malfeasance. Every time and space needs you. Go on patrol. In addition, I know what you are worrying about, but those are not problems. It's just a mere human history, and it can be easily corrected if it is changed. The big deal will destroy the redundant parallel space. What you need to pay attention to is those that are enough to affect the world and the universe, and even affect the power of time and space. After thinking about it, Vegeta understood that from the position of Zeno and Grand Priest, human beings are ants, and there is no need to care if they have been changed. In the future, the trunks and cell levels will only be played by children in their eyes, and no matter how history is changed, it will not affect them. So what really needs to pay attention to is the kind of power that will destroy the universe and time and space, just like the madman like Zamasu. Once it appears, it is Vegeta's responsibility. There are also the creatures of the dark demon that Kaien is currently defending. If something invades, the order of the entire universe will collapse. I understand. I'm willing to accept the position of gods of destruction. After thinking about it, Vegeta did not hesitate anymore and accepted it. But, how do you feel as if you have forgotten something? And many more. Apart from the relative existence of gods of destruction and Supreme Kai, they are still in a symbiotic relationship. Vegeta had just thought of this level, but before he could speak, Zeno had begun to congregate. The so-called confession of gods is really simple. Zeno chanted a spell in an unknown language, and he didn't see any other actions. An invisible rule suddenly descended from the sky, and it fell directly on Vegeta and merged into it. Function. Over. Boom. A peculiar energy burst out suddenly from Vegeta's body, and the fusion degree of the energy that had been stuck and did not advance soared again. 80% A, 85% A, 90% A, 95% A, 99% A. Seeing that it was about to reach 100%, in the end, the progress bar stuck again. 99.9%. Vegeta almost vomited blood. Why can't he do it all at once? He has to do this one step at a time? But even if it didn't reach 100%, Vegeta's energy still exploded a lot. The originally stripped divine energy was uncontrollably fused together again, and the combat strength of the normal state of God Realm 1 Jing increased steadily. 2 Jing. 5 Jing. 10 Jing. 15 Jing. 20 Beijing. In just such a short while, Vegeta's energy directly increased by 20 times. More than that, the energy fusion degree crossed the threshold of 80%, and the situation he sensed secretly became a reality. Under the explosion of energy, he involuntarily entered a state of transformation. Boom. The terrifying divine energy swept across all sides, the power of the rules shook, and the neutral space was instantly shattered by the barrier set up by Vados. The air inside is sucked away by the universe at a speed surpassing light, and the extremely powerful air current will instantly bring the humans and gods here to the depths of the universe. Fortunately, at this time, Grand Priest did not sit back and watch. He swung his staff lightly, and a regular force spread, easily rebuilding the barrier and calming the neutral space again. It's just that the look in the eyes of the Grand Priest looking at Vegeta also took on a look of surprise. If it was just the original power, even though he would take a high look at it, in the final analysis it would only be better than Angel, and it was still far from Grand Priest. Even, as long as Angel uses the rules of his life, Vegeta may not be able to match it. But now, just after being enshrined in the rules of the universe, Vegeta's strength has increased so much. Boom. A huge thunder sound exploded, and blazing rays of light bloomed from Vegeta. At this moment, his body is like the sun, which makes people unable to look directly at him. Even the existence of Grand Priest and Zeno can't see the specific situation. But the light came and went quickly, and soon converged into Vegeta's body. At this time, Vegeta's image changed again. The whole body has dark red hair, and the hair is also dark red, with purplish red eyes, dark purple eyes, and a dark red tail fluttering behind him. And the energy that surrounds him is more solid than the perfect state of the Super 2 gods, as if to condense into a solid. The color is divided into 2 layers again. The outer part is the deep red after the Super 2 gods Realm 3 in 1, while the center is dark purple, purple and black, and it looks like 3 colors. Crimson, purple, black. This is the realm of Super 4 gods. And there is no need to deliberately display the non-community. The perfect level of non-community has been completely integrated into it. In other words, before a new transformation, Vegeta in this state is the peak and strongest state. If he still wants to continue to improve his strength, there is no other way besides hard training. Vegeta in this state now has an extremely astonishing fighting strength, reaching a terrifying level of 2 Guy. That's right. The Super 4 God realm made him break through to the level of Guy in one fell swoop, not just stepping into it, but reaching 2 Guy. This power is simply destroying the world. Vegeta shook his fist, feeling extremely shocked. As long as he exerts a little force, the entire space can be shattered, and even time and space will appear to be faulted. At this level, if you don't restrain yourself, there is no place for him to let go of his hands and feet to fight, unless he desperately destroys time and space. Chuck chuck. The gods had been trembling with fright a long time ago. Their upper and lower teeth were trembling, their whole bodies trembling. Even Whis and Vados, who are angel, do not look good. In the face of this powerful pressure, they even found it difficult to breathe. Tang Tang Angel was completely suppressed. They knew very well that in the face of this force, even if they broke out of the rules of fate regardless of taboos, they might not be the enemy of Vegeta. He may have reached the height of the Grand Priest. However, Grand Priest's complexion was always so calm. Although he was surprised at Vegeta's boosted energy, after all, he just raised his brows, and there was no other reaction. It's amazing, I'm transformed again. Vegeta is so amazing. Zeno was so happy that he clapped his hands as if he had seen something very interesting. At this time, the gods were stunned, and the human beings were inexplicably trembling, their brains knotted, and they couldn't react at all, and only Zeno completely jumped out of the limit. Facing the overwhelming horror of Vegeta, Zeno didn't feel it at all. You know, even the Grand Priest has released its own breath, filtering out the coercion radiated by Vegeta. And Zeno is obviously here, but he is more like an outsider, unaffected by it. If you have to describe it, it's like the imaginary ability with soil in Naruto. It's just that Zeno's ability is definitely more advanced, because Vegeta's breath pressure not only spreads to the positive space, but also affects the temporal space. It can only be said that it is worthy of being the supreme god standing at the apex of all universes, and Zeno is worthy of being Zeno. Fortunately, it doesn't seem to be shared with the supreme Kai of time. Is the setting of the god of time and space different from that in the universe? After Vegeta gained the position of god, he realized that he was still him, and his life was not connected with Cain, but it made him breathe. However, there was another thing that made him feel very heavy. On the surface, Vegeta didn't show anything, but in fact, he secretly increased his vigilance in his heart. It was also at this time that he finally understood why it was so easy to obtain the position of God, why his strength suddenly soared so much, far surpassing Angel, and chasing the Grand Priest, but both Grand Priest and Zeno didn't care. Because, while gaining the position of God, he also has a shackle on his body. This shackles existed at the same time as God's position, and had already merged with his life. Usually it won't have any effect on him, but the biggest limitation is that no matter how much his strength is improved, he is still controlled by Zeno. In other words, Zeno wanted to destroy him only in a single thought. This is the essence of the ability to eliminate.